old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember MEAD magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Welcome, everybody, once again to Midnight's Edge After Dark. I am Tom Connors. We have a panel of, what's that movie coming out? The Gentleman movie this weekend?
Gentlemanly Warfare.
Yeah. We got ungentlemanly panel here today, I guess. I'll just say that. I don't know. I was going to come up with some other fucking thing, but it didn't work. Anyway, that shit aside, welcome everybody once again to the program as everybody files in here. Hello, hello, hello out there. We have with us all 32 flavors of Nick Weiser tonight. How are you doing, my friend?
Hello, Tom. I be doing good. How is you and everyone on the panel and in our wonderful chat?
I hear banjos off in the distance.
Oh, it sounds a little disturbing. Hopefully there's no squealing going on in that corner.
Oh my. Yes, that is a little bit of a hint of what we're going to be talking about tonight on Toxic Tuesday.
Yeah, their Deliverance, and I forgot how dark this movie was. Man, I can't wait to talk about, because we haven't really talked about like a really, since I think we did the Evil Dead trilogy, we haven't really touched on anything like this since then. So this is gonna be perfect.
That's right. He's gonna make you squeal like a pig boy tonight on Toxic Tuesday. We're gonna talk Deliverance. So join us over there after this show, of course. And after talk all kinds of news, we got CC Karaoke with us. How you doing, my friend? Coming in from Canada.
You're talking about the porno version of Deliverance? That's a bit sketchy. That's pretty hardcore, man.
Oh my. Yes, indeed. You got a pretty mouth. It doesn't even really have to be a porno version. It's just disturbing in and of itself. Why would you want to make a if that's what you're into, that's what you're into, right? Like
you played the
you don't need it. It's already a porn. I mean, especially if you're in a Ned Batty like that guy was. Oh, anyway, poor Otis.
Well, now we know why they
I was getting fucked up the ass, Mr. Luthor.
Dump him overboard.
We were having a little canoe chat. One thing led to another.
That's not how paddles are supposed to be used.
Well, you would probably know. You're the outdoorsman, so. How's the snow skiing going?
I view the outdoors from inside.
Well, you're
I just feel a little bit closer to it.
Outdoorsman I probably know. I mean, Script Doctor's white as a ghost. I mean, you're white as a ghost, but you at least have photo evidence that you do go outside and touch some sort of ground, whether it's grass or snow.
Yeah, I've sent you photos of when I've gone to Pinewood in Toronto.
Yeah, that's true. You did send me. Those are the only photos you've ever sent me. But I don't know if that's really you or you're pretending to be that person who sent those photos to you. Because you think I would
keep it ambiguous so I don't break any
never know if
it
is you or not. See, and I just gave you that plausible deniability. You're welcome.
Wouldn't that be an indoor studio as well?
It's got outdoor and indoor aspects to it. So it's got this really awesome artificial lake in the back. And then it's got these these aircraft hangars that are in sync all the way down, running, I think, like northeast along the area off of Commissioner Road. So if you're in the Toronto area, go down to Pinewood, Toronto, bug them, find out how much there's 3 productions going on, and there only one of them is Secret Hideout. Secret Hideout's leasing the rest of the space to other productions, and Pinewood's still upset by that.
Yes, indeed. Well, Matt, of course, is Script Doctor, our other Canadian, because for some reason I'm legally obligated to have some sort of Canadian ratio on the show.
2 to 4. That's what it is.
You guys just can't be one, though. You always travel in some sort of pack or duo. I don't get it.
Well, I mean, there's only 2 of us in the country, so.
Yeah, and we're
at
both
a time?
on sides. Yeah.
So you got to trade off. So like when Paul wants to come on, CC's got to leave or something.
Yeah, he drives up to Alaska, so because it's shorter distance.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh Lord.
Sadly, that is actually true.
Does that count though? I mean, unless it's Trudeau in blackface, I don't know.
Well, blackface is back according to Billy D. Williams. So
I can say thank you so much.
Yeah,
he gave him the pass. So,
I mean, so someone get it going. I'm waiting. I'm using my stick. Right, come on, someone get started. We're waiting.
Yeah.
Was that a squeal like the?
Yeah, no kidding. We also have with us Price of Reason. How you doing, Price?
I'm good. How's it going?
Doing the best we can, hopefully.
Yep.
Glad to have you here, though. We're going to talk some news here soon. We also have clobbering times, I think, for at least a little bit. If you have to take off, just let me know, Clobby. I know you're dealing with something in the background here, but hello to you at this moment in time if you're able to talk. If not, we'll get back to you sooner than later. Again, Clobby's dealing with some personal stuff in the background right now. So with that, let's say hello to the people out in the chat. We've got Pete Dencat sending in a member chat to get us kicked off today. Thank you so much for that, Pete Dencat. Or actually, you became a member. Sorry about that. I totally didn't read that correctly. And we have a Congo level. Holy crap. Holy. Wow. That means you get the Congo video.
I hear Owen Wilson all the way from California being blown away by that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Stop eating my sesame cake. Stop eating my sesame cake!
Amy wants green drop drink.
No.
Amy wants green drop drink.
All right, all right. She's a loud one. It'll calm her down.
Fade in.
All right. Thank you for that, Pete Dencat. That is awesome to have a new Congo member in the house. We also have Waltman. I almost thought it was War 2 for a second. I'm sorry about that. Sent in $4.99, says, I had to ask, but Script Doctor, what are your thoughts on that Quiet on the Set docuseries on HBO Max?
Haven't seen it yet.
Neither have I. I've only heard things about it. Has anybody here caught any bit of it yet?
About the
Nickelodeon stuff, yeah.
Well, I mean, I know the general attitude of it, and it's horrible. I also know that I think one of the actors in there, that Drake guy, I remember before many years ago, he was accused of also being a predator to another actor. So there's that. That's as far as I can say at this point. I haven't seen the docu-series, so that's about it.
Yeah, neither have I. And yeah, that's pretty much the only real revelation from what I've heard so far we've had out of that. And even that, like you said, we kind of knew bits
It
and
also
pieces. So
reaffirms, a very interesting default. Any entertainment entity or any institution that promotes the safety of children is probably doing the exact opposite.
most likely, yeah. And at least in that respect, especially when they're involved in some sort of
But when it involves like
financial
the kids
or
programs, like I will tell you this now, like Disney was big on promoting family values and kid-friendly stuff, and they are like the biggest perpetrators of a lot of child actors that have gone nuts because of the stuff that studio has done to them. Same thing with like Nickelodeon. Again, any entity that focuses way too much on kids should always be scrutinized.
Yep. You never get trust them too much. We've definitely have more than a few good lessons of what happens when that happens.
yeah. Well,
And
when there's that ratio of how many actual child stars turn out normal compared to ones that don't,
Yep.
Exactly.
that in
And
of
when you're-
itself is a problem, right?
And when
So-
you're a studio that's promoting stuff that focuses on children being stars, that makes it very tempting for people that are predators to get involved in that. I mean, that's why when Warner Brothers ever produced a television show that had child stars, they have this big strict rule of like the parents have to be on set and around them at all times. Their labor laws or labor codes are way more strict and useful in regards to child safety than anything that you'd ever find over at Disney and Nickelodeon.
Now, how much is like a sadly, this is mean shit now, but how much is a psychologist really involved as far as like children on the set and all that kind of stuff?
They're
In
not
your
needed
knowledge,
they're not really needed unless the kid is going through problems.
that's a problem. Because
And
first of
if
all,
the
I
kid's
think
not going through problems, then they're fine. It's their parents are there, there's teachers there, they have their schedule, they do
Well,
their thing, and they're good.
the reason I
they're-
bring this up is because I think there should be some kind of intermediary involved in this kind of thing, or like, because one of the biggest problems that I've learned through the last couple of years of whether it was Corey Feldman's documentary, reading about the stuff in Nickelodeon, the other video that I've seen about the Nickelodeon stuff, and I haven't seen this documentary, but I've seen a ton of other stuff about it. Like in all those years, I can't believe that there wasn't somebody, and this is the problem I've seen, is usually it's the parent, the handler, or like you said, people in power. And it's always somebody either facilitating or turning a blind eye to,
Mhm.
right? And there's another problem here is that and that's what I'm saying, is sometimes these kids need to be protected from their own parents or the people that are supposed to be responsible for them. And the other thing that I have a thing here is there's some kids that are just not equipped to be able to do this stuff. Now I get it. It'll really make the pool smaller in Hollywood as far as having kid actors to work with. But guess what? There's only a certain percentage of children that are able to mentally handle this job. And you can see it, like I said, out of the ones that actually go from being a child star and graduating to be an actual movie star and can be a functioning adult. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's a very small number. And in that
Well-
respect, yes, there are kids that want to be actors, like that I'm not going to deny. But there's probably that percentage that think it's a good thing, but then after about 3 or 4 days of doing it, if you had a psychologist on the set to observe this shit, could go, you know what, this kid really is not into this, right? And it's not going to work.
Yep.
It's going to be detrimental to this kid going down the road.
We
I think
also
I was
forget that a
pushing
lot
30,
of kids.
Sorry,
Go
one at
ahead.
a time. But go ahead,
Yeah, go ahead,
CC
CC.
first.
No, I think I was pushing 30 before I was like capable of being any kind of organized in life. I don't think I could have done a
Right?
child actor at like 15.
But then
No
again,
way.
I've seen some kid actors who seem to have their shit together better than
Oh,
more
yeah.
adults do. I mean, like,
Yeah, actually, surprisingly, a lot of the kid actors from that show, Boy Meets World, which is an ABC show, most of them turned out fairly normal, and they actually are still in the industry as like directors and producers. But that was one of the few rarities because I think that had more to do with the parent, the adult actors on set being very parent-like to the kids, so that they were not exploited. Because I think there was only one guest actor on there that ended up having a thing of controversy, which those actors had no idea what was going on there. They thought that it was like a grift being put against them. And then when they found out that it wasn't and that was true, they were really upset and they felt betrayed. Because I remember that as a controversy because that was like in 2011 or 12 when all that kind of came to revelations.
You know the ones that seem like the weirdest to me is Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. They may be rich, but think of it that their first memories are probably them on a set,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have
being
known nothing but being rich in the center of attention their entire life. You're right, Price.
they
That's
don't even know what it's like to be a human being.
no.
My earliest memory is I was sitting around and I was feeding ants in the yard. I don't know why I was feeding ants in the yard, but I remember this, and it's a very early memory. Their early memory is that Uncle Jesse is walking around and calling them Michelle, and people are clapping. It's really weird. That's
That's
they
gotta be
don't know
fucked up
what's
for a
real and
kid.
what's not real.
Well, that's why they completely got out of the entertainment industry, went into
Mhm.
fashion, and then learned how to become human beings that way. And even that's dicey because the fashion industry is not very human.
No.
No, and one
No.
of those girls married like that French the former prime minister's brother or something,
Mhm.
and he was like 70 years older than her. That was weird.
Wow.
Mm.
Really?
Yeah, she
Anyway,
married
Nick,
some
you
guy that
70?
was significantly older than her.
Oh
I
my.
mean, like, not like he was 5 years older. I mean, you look at them together
Yeah.
and it looks kind of weird, and then at some point, I guess she left him. The whole thing is
Mm.
just very weird.
No,
Both
Nick
of
was
them
gonna say
start
and
messed up.
No,
final
wait.
thing, I don't I wanna say that I don't know the specifics here, and it could be nothing, but even Heath Ledger going to one of their apartments where, that was the last, days of his life. He ended up
Mhm.
at the Mary-Kate Ashley Olsen place, and does anybody know what I'm talking about, or I'm just
Yeah, allegedly they had been involved in a lot of narcotic stuff, let's
Mm.
say.
And no, and I'm not suggesting. I want to say this that legal, like if there's anybody
That's why I
uh,
said alleged. That's why I said alleged. So yeah.
alleged, so I'm going to say something alleged, and this is something that I heard, but I'm not confirming it in any way. It's a rumor, which it's probably not true. But what somebody told me is that perhaps there was somebody before the police arrived that came and did kind of a sweep of the place before they were called. If you understand what I mean.
Maybe
Mm.
cleaner.
Yes, kind of like a cleaner fixer situation, but I am not saying that that's what happened. I'm saying it's not what happened. So anybody listening to this, I didn't
Mhm.
say that that's what's happened. I said that that's what somebody told me,
Right.
and that person should be ashamed of themselves.
No, I think they were involved in a little bit of the investigation from my memory, so I don't think that's completely out of the realm of, there's something maybe involved. They may have been involved in some way. I'm not saying there was, allegedly, obviously, like you said. So, but it's one of those things that, yeah. Anyway, but like unacceptable views here says Kurt Russell's the only one I can think of, but there's must be a few. Oh yeah, there's a few I can think
Well,
of, like the Jake
yeah.
and the Gyllenhaals and
Well,
some
the
other.
Howards.
Howard's
Clint,
a
I don't know
great
about.
example.
Yeah, Ron
Clint's
Howard.
cool. Clint's
cool. Kurt Russell, but here's a common factor between at least those two. Both of them had fathers that were actors and knew the business and knew what, then probably took care of them a lot better. Bing Russell
They did.
was Kurt Russell's father. You had Rance Howard, who was the Howard's father, and probably some of the ones that had savvy parents that knew what Hollywood was like. Probably it helped.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Right, we're ready for the game. They were ready for the game. They knew what they were getting into. They probably walked through the minefield, and they knew
Yeah.
how what their son was going to do and what their son was going to not do. Because
Right.
and it's good that they had that experience.
And they were
because,
strong fathers. Those guys.
Oh,
were good,
that's a
good
big
fathers.
one too. An actual strong father.
well, and
Kids are-
Clint told. Go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, no, a lot of kids will say they want to be actors because it looks fun. You see a kid or someone on TV gets viewed by people. Kids will say mostly anything. A kid will say that they want to be a broom, but they're just because kids say things until, as you mentioned earlier, once they actually try it, they're like, oh, hold on, maybe this really isn't it for me. But problem is, you usually have a lot of weak parents. Oh, well, now they're already in it. They might as well keep going. And sometimes even parents become selfish because they want to see their kid get famous so they can get the clout off of that as well. It's sick, but it does happen, unfortunately.
Well, and that's why there's all that stuff now, and I think Script knows more about this than I do, but I know they have like certain things set where the kids have to have like what do you call it, accounts set aside to where they can't get the money until they're adults, and the parents can't touch all of it and all that shit now.
Yeah, there's
Because of
lots of
things like that.
stipulations. So like they have a third party power of attorney whose only interest is to make sure that money doesn't go anywhere and is not spent by the children. Because like the Culkins, that
Yeah.
family really exploited Macaulay and Kieran. for a while.
Yeah, but that's the thing is a lot of these kids would when by the time they would be adult, they'd think, oh, I'm rich because I made all these fucking movies. And then they turn around and find out their parents blew it all on bad investments or just spent it.
Like
right?
Gary
All
Coleman.
bullshit.
Gary
Yeah.
Coleman.
I saw Mecha J post this comment in the chat a little bit earlier, but it's the parents who are trying to live vicariously through their children to become
Oh, absolutely.
or
Yeah.
attain that fame
sickening.
via pushing their children into that world.
And these are some of the
That's,
same
you
people
know,
who are willing to basically, for lack of a better term, traffic their own children to people. And that's what I've said before.
Yeah.
Is,
It's the show moms are usually the worst in
Yeah.
there. And if you have a show mom that and there's two types. So Carrie Fisher was a show mom, but she was a show mom that if you touched her daughter, she'd kill you. And you don't have a lot of those, unfortunately.
yeah.
The
There's
show
not a
moms
lot
you
of
normally get
protective
are the ones
parents.
that are
Yeah.
literally they will move you from place to place to place to just try to get you work. And like Shirley Temple has a very interesting story. Now she was exposed to some things, but as far as I know, I don't think she was ever violated. And one of the stories that she told, which I remember very well, is the fact that when her first encounter with that, her response was to laugh, and that actually probably saved her from any abuse because that laughter conveyed to the individual in question is that she is going to start mocking and telling other people of what he did, and it's going to hurt his reputation and do something. And at that same time that was happening, her mother was getting exposed in a similar way and just left. And then they just left that studio and they never worked for that studio ever again. And that was kind of how it was, because it was in the days where film was kind of booming up in the 30s and 40s that certain predators were kind of getting involved. And because they were able to wield power, they were able to stay. But at the same time, you could tell which ones they were because a lot of high tier talent would never be working with them. And so that's why you see things like when Warner Brothers was founded, they were getting some higher talent. When RKO was doing stuff, they'd be getting some other higher talent. But there's some other smaller studios or things on the lots where, oh, why aren't we getting, Grace Kelly as frequently as all the other pictures and with the contract deals they're having there? That's why, because there's jerks there doing not great stuff, and they would pop up into other various studios and over time, and that's where and certain talent would skew away from them because they know their reputations are there. The only pleasant thing you can have is that the reputations or those reputations are not as frequent as you think they are, but because you hear so many of the same stories over and over, you think they are. I know tons of kid actors who have gotten out of the business who'd never had a problem, and they're like in their 40s and 50s today.
Right.
But I know a few that have, and it's
Yeah.
like the rare ones are the ones that people latch on to because, again, there's so many legacies now within Hollywood. They really don't want that baggage because they know what that baggage can have. Alyssa Milano, as far as I know, didn't suffer any actual abuse, but she went crazy because of a whole nother stuff. However, Eliza Dushku did.
I was just going to bring her up. Yeah.
And that was on a film set, and that was not from anyone really in the production. That was from a stunt coordinator. So
It was
it's
actually
not
the
always-
guy that did most of Schwarzenegger's stunts for all his movies, actually.
Yeah. And that's one of the things you have to realize. It's not always a casting couch situation because
No.
casting couches are few and far between, and only the ones that can actually deliver are the ones that get away with it. And most of those casting couches you see are not in the studio system. They're in the independent system because that's where people are most desperate.
And Michael
Well-
Weatherly paid the price for what happened to her as a kid, in my opinion.
And that would be the guy that we're in question we were talking about, you mean? But
No, no, okay, so Michael Weatherly was on that show Bull, and Eliza Dushku was on that show. And they basically brought her for the last 3 episodes of the season with an option to bring her the next season as a full-time cast member. But after those 3 episodes, they told her they're not going to move forward with her contract. And then what happened is that she sued them and made this whole big deal. And basically, she was claiming that he was harassing her on set. Now, in my opinion, based on the things that I heard, it seemed like there was a lot of humor on the set, and then people were just kind of joking. And he made jokes because there was an episode that had a van that looked like that kind of van that, you find kids with, if you understand what I mean. And maybe this somehow triggered her in his comments and whatever he was saying. I think she was extra sensitive about it. But at the end, when it went to this kind of arbitration, whatever it is, at the end, CBS ended up paying her $9 million as if she had done 3 seasons or something. Or 2 or the whole season or whatever it is. They ended up paying her for her to go away in return for her to sign an NDA. And then she went to the newspaper and told everybody what happened, even though she signed an NDA and collected $9 million. But I really think that there was a situation there that she was overly sensitive to what was being said and done there. That's my personal opinion. And maybe because of what happened to her as a child.
Yeah, I mean, and I wanted to kind of veer it away from that kind of the subject. And I'm not saying it's not important because it clearly is, but YouTube will probably shut us down if we keep it up.
I was kind of vague, I think.
No, you're fine. I'm just saying we should move it along to this part because this is another important part that all that other crap aside, let's say even if that stuff doesn't happen to one of these child actors, one of the other reasons I think it's a problem is because these kids really don't get an education half the time on how really to act in the real world, period. And that goes back to the Olsen twins, right? So like, let's say you're in a situation like that where you've grew up on a set your whole life. You have had everything done for you. Sure, you've done tutoring and school on the set, but you're not learning I guarantee you're not getting the type of schooling most of these kids should be getting. And I know some of these kids are smart and they turn around and they go to college afterwards. Like that's
Mayan
right.
Bialik. Yep. Well, here's the thing. The model that child actors get for education is identical to the homeschool model that parents throughout the rest of the United States use.
Yeah, that very well much be, but how much attention are they being able to?
They get a lot of attention from the homeschool
for that whole day to be able to do that though, compared to what a homeschool kid does.
No, yes, they have to do multiple hours, and they also had to do physical education in the homeschool on studio sets. So they had to do gym, and they had to do all those types of things. And if they had to work a 5-hour day, but they had to also have 5 hours of school minimum in between that on that day and in that set and in the offsite trailers. So you're getting a pretty, and then that's on top of the fact that the parents also have to continue that at home on their own time when they're done for the day. And they don't get long days because they're kids. They have very strict union minimums to prevent that so it doesn't impede their education.
It reminds me a little bit of like sports, and I know not everyone's Canadian, but in hockey, you have the junior hockey system, right? So the really great, the great and not so great players, the players who have a chance at going pro, who get into the junior leagues when they're 16, they end up with billet families, right? They move out of home. They go to the city that they're drafted into at the age of 16. And I think, I'm sure some of them do it depends on the luck of the draw in a way. It's like if you get a really good family who takes care of you, you probably do get a good education and you do learn how to live your life, right? But if you get into a destabilized situation, which I'm sure, again, would be similar to Hollywood, if you don't have the right kind of mentorship, then what you're going to learn is you're going to learn the party lifestyle, and you're going to skip all your classes and just get drunk and everything else in between. And probably have a difficult path, let's say, as you grow up. So I don't know. I don't watch as much sports as I used to, but I did watch a lot for a long time, and I know those stories come up similarly to what we've been talking about with regards to Hollywood. So
there you go. Let's actually, I was saying let's go see what the audience is saying, but I have no super chats here. But I've been throwing comments.
How did we end up talking about
I do
in
have
Hollywood? I don't remember how this started.
That
even
was the super chat.
It was a stupid, it's a super chat. That's stupid docu-series, yeah.
I've steered away from this. I saw it in my recommendations, and I thought to myself, if I press play, this is really going to make me feel...
I was going to say, because honestly, this is part of the reason why we kind of avoid it, yeah.
Right.
I feel like I should watch it, but I don't really want to watch it.
Exactly. There's a part of me that said, well, you should really watch this thing, and then I'm like, I don't know. Was it on Amazon Prime or something? Where is it?
HBO Max.
HBO Max. Yeah, I ended up watching an old Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. I saw it, and then I'm like, I need something more lighthearted.
Yeah.
And classic Curb is actually usually pretty funny.
I understand that. That looks like a not so lighthearted thing to watch.
I still got to get more into Curb Your Enthusiasm. I enjoy it, I appreciate it, but it's a little tough for me sometimes.
I mean, it's a
completely up
show
my
that
alley, but
years ago when it started, I think that the initial season, some people would tell me it's a really good show, you should watch it, and I'd watch a little bit of it, and I would get annoyed for some reason. It would annoy me, and then
well, he is annoying.
yeah,
It's like
he is annoying, and there's a moment.
Larry David. Yeah.
But there is a moment that he wins you over. He's so annoying, but you suddenly see a certain episode or situation, and you're like, okay, I get it. He's the most annoying person ever, and you just kind of go with it. And if you're willing to go on that journey, it does pay off.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so I ended up sometimes, the reason I saw it is I was going to eat some food, so I prepared something and I was going to eat food, and I sat down and then I looked at it and I'm like, I'm not eating and watching this children thing. When I eat, I prefer something more lighthearted. And then
I tend to make meals while listening to people on YouTube, like everyone from this community. Otherwise, when shows get into like total gross out humor and subjects and things that are just like,
right.
You
here.
basically half of Toxic Tuesday. You just like, okay, these guys being really gay here. Gotta turn this volume down.
Well, let's get to the next
basically
one.
anything by Comics Division.
Gary's
I regret making food right now.
Oh.
Totally, yeah. So I usually try not to watch YouTube streams when I'm eating in general. I don't know why, but I usually steer away from it. I try to put something on, like a 30-minute
this is a weird tangent, guys. Let's go to the other super chat. Dr. Wynn into Wander,
yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Goddess of Whim sends in 10 and says, new glasses, new picture, let's go. And a little extra for MEAD, next MEAD radio. Oh, well, awesome. Thank you for that, Goddess of Whim. It's kind of hard to probably see your new icon there, depending on the size of your screen, but looks like you got
looks nice
hair made of ivy or leaves or something like that.
Green, yeah, it's a green lady thing,
like poison ivy kind of thing, only with hair of actual
ivy.
Ivy, yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. Yeah, so that looks awesome, and thank you so much. And you'll have to let me know what you want to hear next time. We got AF Watcher sending in $1.99, says Magneto would get along with Punisher. I don't know about that.
No.
Clobby, Nick?
No,
they wouldn't get along.
I've read enough of both of characters to know that would not be the if you really had to put them in a situation where they're stuck together, that would be okay. Maybe if they both had like a common enemy, they would be okay. We're gonna work together until we both get out of this, like a trap equivalent. And then at Bat-Tat, I still hate you, basically. But as far as a general sense, not a chance.
Okay.
Well, that sounds fair enough. And
I genuinely had never thought of that question before.
No, I haven't thought of it either. It's two characters that I can't imagine really interacting or doing something. It's not the first ones I would pair in my mind. I'm not an expert like you, but the Punisher and Magneto is a really odd pairing.
Mm-hmm.
They're very different, eh?
It is a very odd pairing. I mean, there's been weirder pairings, but no.
If Disney did it, they would be a couple.
Oh, dude, I'm sure. Yeah, they would get out the guns and the steel, and they'll say some weird stuff about like blasphemy and all that stuff. Yeah, let's not go there.
He'll be like,
"I'm going to getting into that R-rated content." So.
Yeah, he's gonna tell Magneto that he's gonna punish him.
Give me that magnetism, Magneto.
How do we keep getting off track here? I don't know how we got to this.
No
it's these super chats.
No idea. We were supposed to talk about Magneto and Punisher.
Right, and we did. We were talking about it, but it kind of
doesn't Punisher have metallic objects?
That was you, Price. That was all you.
Yes, I agree. It was me. I did. I'm responsible for this one.
So did we did Klobby chime in on this? I mean,
I don't think he wants to. I don't blame him. Oh man. Anyways, let's move on to the next question.
Something more lighthearted.
Yeah, this stream has been very bipolar. We've gone from really weird stuff to downright scary. What's going on in Hollywood with the younglings, and it's just like this. Everything about the directions we're going is like super far one direction to another. This we're basically Charlie Sheen when he was bipolar by winning, basically where we're going. Let's just get to the median of the spectrum now. Spectrum. Tom, you there?
I am.
Okay, I was gonna say we should move on to the next super chat.
Yes, sorry about that. Infinite Wander sends in 5, says, "Evening, gents. Any of you discuss Warhammer tonight? Just curious as all." No, we haven't. I've heard that there's some concerns about it. I'm not a big Warhammer person, so I don't know much about it. Anybody here know what's going on with that?
I know.
All I know is I've seen it in the news today. And
What's happening in the news? I know this because I'm friends with Dred Roberts, who does the Night Owl streams with me. So he's an expert in this kind of stuff, and he basically, I guess it's been proven, like those type of Sweet Baby Ink situations, that they've taken over Warhammer, and now they're trying to inject these type of messages and propaganda into it, and it's kind of been uncovered today. And then some people were talking about it, Grums and a few other people. So it's been a thing that's being kind of talked about for the past 24 hours. But basically, take that Sweet Baby Ink situation, copy paste it, and paste it on Warhammer, and that's pretty much what's going on in a nutshell.
Thank you very much for that, Price, because I have no idea, because I'm not a Warhammer person. I apologize, guys. I wish I knew something about it. We got Shinatsky here saying, years they said there are no, oh, that's right, there's no female space marines. Now they say there always has been for a while, and it kind of blew up the internet when they said that. Yeah, I remember hearing about that now. So, yeah. Yeah, that's not a good way to win over fans at all. And then we've got, oh, go ahead. Got something to say?
I was going to say, it got the same vibe from D&D, right? And I mean, I don't know if Larian's going to go down the woke rabbit hole, but I just to give them some of the credit on this one, they walked away, right? They walked away from Baldur's Gate entirely. They said, you know, our heart's not in going down this direction, you know. Now they're going to do something totally new. So it gave me the notion that had Larian continued with the DLC for Baldur's Gate 3 and into Baldur's Gate 4, you know, that they were probably going to be pressured to include a lot of things they really didn't care to. That's just, it's a little bit of hypothesis on my part, but you know, it's usually how these things go.
Oh yes. No, my brain's just spaced out. I was gonna mention with Warhammer. Yeah, it's you know, I didn't know too much about it. I have a few friends who play it, but it just sounds like it's more of what we're seeing and hearing with stuff like BattleTech and all these other RPG games. It sounds like, no, assuming that Warhammer's one, it sounds like one of those ones. It sounds like they're going through a lot of the same stigma and drama that all the other ones are going through, and it was sadly it was inevitable. It was just the next in line, really, because that's what happens when these things happen. One thing gets taken over and it's on to the next one, really. And
it's kind of like pirates pillaging something. They started with the comics, they did all of that, they kind of ruined the whole industry. Then they're like, okay, let's do games. They did that for a while. Then they said, well, let's just go for Hollywood and ruin all the IPs. Then they did that. But there's such slim pickings now to ruin, because they've ruined everything, that they're hungry. They need something else. So now they've set their eyes again on the gamer, on the gaming industry, and now they're trying to do the same crap over there. That's pretty much what's going on, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, sounds about right.
And when they're done with this, then they'll go back to one of the other ones. It's like it'll come full circle. They'll try to go back to comics, but there's only so many times that they can do this. And
Well,
I think
yeah, right.
people are wiser now than they were the last time around. I think that there's so many people that are talking about it now and noticing everything that's going on. Years ago, when there was The Last Jedi, and a lot of us may have even gotten to know each other through that, people would talk about people like us like we're crazy. Even the different news outlets that today are openly talking about DEI and all this stuff that's kind of corrupting entertainment, gaming, and all that stuff. They weren't talking about that then. They were talking about just a bunch of other nonsense, and they were kind of ignoring it and writing it off as though we're just man-childs or whatever it is, and we're just making a big deal. Today, those very people are all suddenly very involved in the same. They've become us, basically, in order to stay relevant.
I think it's an important distinction because there are all these watershed moments, right? Maybe for me, it was The Last Jedi. And then in Star Wars terms, Obi-Wan Kenobi, like that show was another big moment. But so was the South Park episode, right? And I remember just like a week or two after that, I have some friends in the music community who are they're San Francisco people, right? And they were right in line with just like laughing at that and joking all over what South Park was going on about. It's not really it's not a political thing, right? It's becoming a mainstream thing where people of all different perspectives are laughing together at the stupidity of some of the things that are going on.
There is something annoying that I know so many people, at least in our circle of the internet, whatever you want to call it, that we've been here for years, and kind of the way we weren't taken seriously. There's a bit that annoys me that now it's cool to laugh at it. Now it's cool for all these pundits to sit around and talk about it as if they actually gave a shit about it. When it mattered, when things were happening and they needed to make noise 7 years ago, that's when they all sat down and just kept their mouth shut.
Yeah, that was it's now safe, and now I don't want to say it's fully okay, but it's a lot easier now that more people are catching it. Where back then you would get scrutinized to the moon and back about saying these things. I mean, you could just ask Klobby. He was actually one of the first, to my knowledge, that spoke on about what was going on with Star Trek. I mean, from what he's told me back in 09. You tell me if I got that right.
That was why I started my show, but it was nothing to do with any kind of intersectionality or anything like that. It was just
it was about the diminishing quality.
It was about them destroying Star Trek in particular.
Yeah,
yes, that's how I started, of course.
And you got blowback for it. You told me you were getting blowback for that then.
I angered people that I did it. Calling him Jar Jar Abrams, I got back to him. I love it. On Trek Space,
I will point out that with gaming, like the gaming community has had an axe to grind, not necessarily for the woke stuff, but they have had an axe to grind with other things for years now, particularly with the way that games have been released with microtransactions for one thing, right? The predatory tactics, or like slot machines, getting people to pay out hundreds of bucks after they buy a game, releasing games that are incomplete so that they can be patched later. And the whole physical media thing where it's like, well, we're moving into digital media, so we'll sell you the game, but the game's not actually on the disc. You just put the disc in, and then you have to download the game, even though you bought the physical thing. And so there's been a lot of like the game. I would say my impression is the gaming community is already very worn thin for different, maybe a little bit different reasons than where we've been at for a few years. But because they're already worn thin on their patience so much, I don't think they have any kind of patience for stuff like there's like the quickness by which Sweet Baby Inc. and all this has happened within the gaming community certainly is because it's gone mainstream, but I think it's also that you're dealing with an audience who is already out of patience with a whole bunch of other things to begin with. And now you're stacking this on top of it, and it's like, we are not having it. You know?
And a final comment that I want to say that when I started initially and I would post stuff on Twitter, today you have Elon Musk and he doesn't shadow ban for the most part as far as I know. But at the time, accounts were being silenced that were saying things, just criticizing a movie studio or criticizing a movie. And I felt this personally, that I would just make some comment about a movie and suddenly I'd be shadow banned. It's really frustrating when at that time, these kind of Fox News, Nothing Personal, and even those kind of Matt Walshes or whatever, they all sat around that none of this seemed important to them. It was like, oh, these little geeks that like this kind of childhood stuff, the men, whatever it is, that the childish men or whatever they were thinking of themselves. That's when it mattered. Then that's when their voices were really, really needed. And they sat around, I'm sorry, and I know this may not sound nice, with their thumbs up their asses. And now they're coming for the victory lap, which I mean, I'm not sure. It's not a matter of jealousy. It's a matter of justice. We deserve the victory lap. People should come to us and say, great, you've been here all these years. You guys are great. Not that those guys are now pretending to be a part of the movement. Yeah, I guess it's better that they're there than doing something than not doing something. It's so too little too late. It's so disingenuous in some cases. And there's a part of it that kind of, there's a little voice inside my head that sometimes thinks like, fuck them. But that's just my personal opinion, and I'm not trying to impose that on anybody else.
I hear you.
It's a fair thing to think. It's just like there's the other part where it's like, okay, you know what?
Has entered the chat.
I don't think I've ever heard Reason sound that furious before. His fury
he has
is
every
just,
right to be. It's probably building up after all this time. He's usually like one of the most chillax guys on this panel, but
I
now
know
that he's got to finally vent it out. Yeah.
He reminds me of the old proverb, beware the fury of the patient man. Well, you want to talk about shadow banning? I just got out from under one. I've been under one for like the last 2 months or something. Yeah.
Where? On Twitter?
Yeah, on Twitter. I got I have no, and to this moment, I have no idea what it was. I just logged in about 2 months ago and I got this notice saying your account has been flagged for suspicious behavior. And I'm like, what? And after that, I didn't hear anything. Like the warning disappeared. I checked my account. I didn't see anything. But then I had my followers tweeting me screenshots of replies that I'd done to threads in my own, like on my own channel or whatever, that were saying you cannot read this because that is unavailable. Like my own followers couldn't see replies of myself or my own threads. And I noticed an immediate drop in just responses that I'd usually get. I mean, I don't really pay attention to my analytics all that much because I'm not like a professional like you guys, whatever that means. But it still felt like I was suddenly my entire world had been condensed down to nothing. And so I kept looking like, what am I supposed to do? I tagged Elon, nothing happened. I tagged X, nothing happened. And finally I just said, okay, how do you get out from under a shadow ban? There's got to be some mechanism. There's got to be some kind of customer service for it. And the only thing I found is they say you have to completely shut down activity on your account for a day to 7 days. Like nothing. You can't post anything. Just log out. Don't even use the app. And so I was like, okay, I guess we'll find out really quick how much Twitter is my heroin or something. And it was really weird because I've been so used to just this instantaneous, rat pushing the button for its cheese kind of thing for so long now that just shutting it off for 72 hours felt really like I'd suddenly just gone back in time or something. It's like, I'm so lonely. But once I came back, no more notices. And suddenly I'm having my stuff shared and tweeted around more like the old days. So there is a way to do it. I just don't know how I got under the shadow in the first place.
Yeah, no, regardless, I'm glad that you're out, man. That's good because, it seems like, for the few things that, not that I want to go too much on the subject, for the few things that Twix fixed, it seems like there's still a whole wave of issues to go. Like the bots are worse than ever. Obviously, I don't want to travel down that well since this is an entertainment show, but I'm glad that we got a little bit of a happy ending for you. So I am happy for you in that regard.
Yes.
But anyway, prices going on about, with all these people who should be thanking us for we're the ones who were there who got into this stuff. And now it's like a mainstream thing. Yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of these people, a lot of them are already going away from certain things and they're moving on to the next thing. And that's what they do all the time. The geeks are the ones who stick around for things, whether it's cool, not cool, in style, out of style. They love it because it's love. They're not looking at it because it's the thing that is popular when it's popular because it's popular. it's genuine and it's really from the heart. There's an investment there. These people, they're not just flat out posers, they're tourists, and they're only there because it's the end thing. And once it becomes out, they will flee that like a Titanic ship. We will be there, that we were there first, and we will be there last.
Right.
Tourist is actually that's a good name for it, because
they're tourists.
I know I'm a skier, right? And on the mountain, you can always tell the difference between a local and a tourist, because they treat the mountain in a completely different way, right?
Well, in the purest sense, there's nothing wrong with being a tourist if you're really trying to like genuinely learn the ropes of something, because everyone's new to something at some point. I mean, I've been a late bloomer to certain things, but the types of tourists I'm talking about, people who are only there because it's the thing to like at that point in time. They're not actually in there because they want to share that same level of love and labor and investment. They're just there because, well, okay, that's where the conversation's at. Well, I guess that's where I gotta steer my boat towards as well. And that's
it also depends on how you. It also depends on how you treat somebody coming in new to the thing, because it's like, if someone is just, let's say they're just, oh, this is the new thing, it's really interesting, I want to join up. Well, then the test is, do the people who are the old guard, let's say, are they welcoming enough to give this person a chance to join in? And then you have to test to see, are they here because they're genuinely curious, or because they're trying to take something over? That's always sort of like the Trojan horse risk you take when you've got people coming in who are expressing such passion, like, wow, really, I want to learn all about this thing. Like, great, I'd love to share my passion with you. And then once they start complaining or trying to change something or whatever else, then it's like, are they here because they actually are interested in the thing, or because they want to make it their own thing outside of what's been established? That's the weird balancing act with the whole deal.
Sorry about that. And hello, Scribelight. We added a new gentleman to the panel.
Yes,
ungentleman is we are this week.
Yes, a gentleman. That's what I am. Hello, everyone.
You are. So it's kind of hard to call you an ungentleman.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was making fun of that new ungentlemanly warfare movie coming out.
Yeah, the Inglorious Bastards, but it's totally like a lock, stock,
loosely based on a true
cooking
story
barrels.
too, or something like that. Yeah.
Sure, everything's loosely based on a true story by the hero myth.
I mean, there were people in World War II that were men, and they were there were people there in World War II.
Nazis were killed in World War II. That's
It
true.
may or may not be as accurate as Pearl Harbor. That's all I know.
Oh wait, Ben Affleck's Pearl Harbor?
Yes, which is both accurate and inaccurate at the same time. It's brilliant.
Yes.
Why
You
does
go
Michael
from everything.
Bay,
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Clobby.
I was gonna say, why does Michael Bay get to keep on making movies? You mentioned Pearl Harbor.
Money.
That's the Team America song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom, sorry.
No, I was just saying, like Pearl Harbor, the stuff like on the actual Pearl Harbor attack, some of the other stuff that's in the movie is amazing, right? Like it's almost exactly what happened. Like he even went to painstaking, the attack I think is in real time from my memory. But like other things in the movie, like just drag on. It kind of reminded me of Titanic with all the love story crap.
Yeah.
You ever think that they'll make some kind of like gigantic, over-budgeted melodrama type reenactment of a war like Kandahar or something? I don't think there's any romance to any wars after World War II, or is that just me?
That's a good point. Like I don't see a Vietnam romance. Like the closest we get to that was Rambo too.
Yeah, no Korean war romances.
And then they killed her.
He's kind of like, I wouldn't mind like taking you home with me. Boom, you bastard!
There's something mystical about The Greatest Generation that just doesn't quite happen. I don't think. I mean, maybe it's just sort of in an abstract sense.
Part
I
of
don't
it's
think
also
there's
the kind of movies that were made back then too, because you also have stuff like what was it, Casablanca? Doesn't that take place during World War II? And
yeah.
Everybody loves
there's a lot
that
of those
movie,
kind of
but
movies.
me.
Yeah.
Actually, I think Casablanca takes place before, because it wasn't that made in the 30s.
Well, it was
Or
before
was it
the
World War
United
One?
States entered the war, but the rest of the world was already there.
It was made
Yeah,
in
that's
the
true.
early
Yeah,
40s.
true. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I think that movie gets more praise than it should. I know everybody loves it, but I don't know what's so good about it, and I feel bad.
Bryce, I don't disagree with you. It's kind of like Gone with the Wind with me. I respect it,
Right.
for its place in history and what it meant and what it still means to this day and influences on film. But I'll be damned if I'm going to sit through it unless I absolutely fucking have to.
It's
Right,
it's
but Gone with the Wind, I could still understand more. There's something epic about that movie. The also Clark Gable and his character. There's things there that I can respect more. The Casablanca one really is it's a very much a product of its time,
oh.
and I don't think it's as strong even as Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, do you think that has more
Well-
to do with the perspective of not having, like, it's you're looking at it from a perspective of someone in the modern day rather than someone who watched it back then, or how innovative it might have been at the
Maybe.
time?
And also, I'll give you another scenario here why people might do this price, and this is maybe a way that people have never looked at this before. And Man Squash just made me think of it. It's probably Humphrey Bogart's most famous role, right?
Mhm.
And the
Right.
farther and farther we get away from when Humphrey Bogart was actually a fucking movie star, you're only going to remember one or two of their films. Like, I
Right.
bet you in about 20 years from now, we're going to be sitting in old folks' homes. Maybe some of us won't be, but I'm going to be grabbing ass. I'll tell you that. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not that old yet.
In the super woke of the future, they will cut your hands
I'm not
off.
old enough to get away with that yet. Just act like you're senile after that. Then you get away with everything. Ask the president. That's right, Sadie.
Whoa!
But I wonder if in like just a few years from now, even like look at John Wayne, right? Like we're probably that removed now, almost, but even a couple more years, we're going to be that even more removed. How far along we're going to be until the only movies remember of John Wayne are like True Grit, right? We'll remember them, but like the kids and everybody else, that's the one and only movie they'll fucking remember, or The Shootist, just one of them. You know what I mean? Like, or with like Clint Eastwood, it might even be the same thing. Like they'll only remember, one or two movies. It's just like, I wonder if it'll get to that
I only
point.
remember the TikTok meme.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you that I actually I'm sharing some information about myself. I studied film back in the day, and part of studying film is that actually you see a lot of old movies, and you always have to kind of take into consideration the context of the time they were released in. And I'm okay at doing that, and I can really understand why something is good for that time. And still, even so, it's not like Citizen Kane. It's not like Gone with the Wind. It's not like The Wizard of Oz, or a lot of other movies that I think are old, but and maybe will be forgotten, like you say, or they won't be respected by future generations. But I can see why they were important during their time. Casablanca is one of those ones that I don't see what's so important about it, as much as probably it was just popular. But I don't really see what's so revolutionary or so great about it, or what it did that was so different, that I really think,
the guy
well,
didn't get
within
the girl.
What'd you say?
The guy didn't get the girl in the end.
True.
Yeah.
That was
I
the thing that
guess.
made it. He sacrificed his own happiness for the betterment of the greater cause. That's what was so different at that time.
Yeah, but she was kind of annoying, so it kind of evens itself out.
And there's a
Well,
lot
I
of
mean,
that stuff. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a fair argument. Like, yeah, does he really want to leave? I mean, does he really want her? I mean,
He
again,
knew
that's
it was
different,
too
but
much of a headache. He's like, you know what? I got a lot of ladies here at this club, and Sam can play the piano. This lady can get on a plane and go
But
somewhere
that's
else.
why it's so brilliant. He basically was like, yes, I'm not going to get this girl because she's not worth the headache. Like, that's another amazing thing. You don't see that in movies.
Yeah, Tom kind of hit on it though.
Happened one night. The guy Clark Gable gets the girl, and she is a headache, but it's all about the banter, the back and forth.
And if I
don't
may,
like each other, but then fall
what
in
I was
love.
getting at, and I think where Scribe is going to go with this.
Oh, mind reading time. Go for it.
Yeah, please tell me if I'm wrong here.
Okay.
If who said about the meme? Who brought up the meme bit? Because they hit on the nose, that right on the head.
What, TikTok memes?
Yeah, who said that? Was that you, CC?
Yeah.
Okay, you were going, even though you were joking, you're going exactly with what I'm going with. See, that's the thing is, this is the meme. People remember that movie, but what do they remember? Play it again, Sham. Even though that's not in the fucking movie. No. Because the movie became a meme before memes on the internet were even a thing, right? Like it was
memes exist
in the cultural zeitgeist. Exactly. Yeah. So it was already
all
one
the
of those
bars, all the world,
things.
you had to walk into mine. That's
exactly. So it had that thing that was already there, and it's been copied a million times. Like 30, 40 years from now, people are going to probably be saying the same shit about Pulp Fiction, right? Like it's just,
Oh yeah, that's
It's the same
real
kind of thing.
thought.
It's just going to stick around because of the penetration it had at that time. You're all right, and I think that also goes along with my point too, where it created its own self a meme at that time, to where it carried through the generations and it influenced so much. And sadly,
of the
Star Wars
quotes.
has almost become a meme now too. Yeah.
I mean, in that sense, then any memorable line spoken by a good actor becomes a meme. I mean,
In a way,
you were kind of close to what I was going to say. What I was going to say is, like, would Casablanca be remembered if Humphrey Bogart wasn't so damn cool? And that goes along with it, right? Would Dirty Harry be a memorable film because of its content if it weren't for Clint Eastwood's performance?
No way.
I mean, some of these things are entirely some of these things are
are
entirely stamped in history because of the performance and the charisma of the lead. And so Casablanca as a movie, but the acting and the characterization, the line delivery, that's what makes a movie memorable, sometimes more so than the overall quality of the script or anything
I'll
else.
give you that, but I will say that the quality of that script is less than I would think would be for such a classic movie.
Sure,
Just
they
in
were
my
writing it
opinion.
as they were shooting it because they didn't have a script.
They're like Marvel.
Worse.
It was the early MCU, yeah. Kevin Feige.
And talent. Like, that's the other part too.
All
Like,
right.
they knew where they were trying to go, and they were trying to figure it out as it went along. Where Marvel started with a script, then threw it out, and then rewrote it in post. Essentially,
Yeah.
like, that's worse because that spends way more money. Them, they're like, we just don't have a script, but we have all this equipment, we have these locations. Let's see what we can do. And they did it, and they did it well because they actually knew how to tell a story and make films.
And
that's
Marvel,
one of the things that I'm worried about with Guy Ritchie is that apparently he threw out the script right like a couple of days before he began shooting, and he just kind of made it up as he went along, which means it's probably different. But I mean, it's getting an A- cinema score, so that's pretty good. That means it's got aspects to it that are quite entertaining and engaging with the audiences that have seen it so far.
I think
to do that.
I think one additional piece of context to this discussion is with film noir in general, and we've seen this through other parts of history. Like the modern rating system, right? And we think of like PG, R, whatever, family, G. That was coming around at around that time. I don't know what the exact year was, but there was this thing where characters could not act against moral turpitude on film. Like a criminal would have to be arrested at the end of the film, right? And then films started to challenge that notion, right? Where you had this great film noir movie, I was looking for the name of it, where the guy commits a murder and he tries to confess his sins and nobody believes that he committed the murder and he gets away with it, right? And it was still a great movie, but it was,
right?
it was kind of revolutionary. It's like, and there are other ways in which that's happened over the course of history too, like when you had the first swear words on TV or whatever, little things. And there's always a differentiation between whether something is good because it broke new ground, and okay, like, we get a bad taste about that with woke. But I mean, moving forward with things like film noir, where characters did not always have to abide by moral turpitude, I would say was a good evolution of film, right? But if a film is only notorious for that and not for being a good film, then it's going to be more forgettable than it is going to be,
Oh, absolutely. Here's a great example of that, CC, because I agree with you wholeheartedly, and that might be why Casablanca, and it may just be partially taste too, Price, and you and I have the same taste, and that is like, I've seen it, it's okay. I have it in 4K. I'm planning to go back to it again because it's been 20, 30 years since I watched it. But like at some point, sometimes like you just anyway, we haven't even got to our main topic yet, but like
I thought I missed all the fun.
But like my point was I was gonna be is like, yeah, sometimes you're not the first one there, but you're the best one there, right? Like a great example of that's Psycho, right?
Right.
Psycho's a damn good fucking movie. Like that is a movie that can be taught in film schools, and it still probably is and should be if not. And I mean, you had Roger Ebert famously used to do lectures with that movie on Laserdisc, and his commentaries on forever on the DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff now because of that. And it's a great commentary to listen to from that perspective because he goes through scene by scene, what makes that movie interesting and great, and on Citizen Kane. But it's just like you have like. Did I say Psycho before I meant Citizen Kane?
They're both good movies.
Yeah, but they're both good movies. But again, you have my point is you have like there was movies that did the same kind of things as Psycho before Psycho was the point I was getting to. like I can't remember the name of the first movie, but
Just
you know,
not
like,
as well. It didn't do it
yeah,
as
just
well.
not as well. Like the slasher genre was always like everybody's like, oh, Psycho was the first. No, technically it wasn't, but it was the first one to really do it best and really kind of solidify it as a genre. And like all the things we're talking about here, it changed the way cinema had been done up to that point in a lot of ways too. And for a lot of reasons, because not only that, it was one of those first kind of movies after television that was big, that was shot a lot like a television show because it was shot with Hitchcock's television crew. So it was like a small movie, but it was still shot with class. It's really difficult to explain with all that. But anyway, we're getting way off topic here. But anyway, anything else anybody wants to say to button this up? Because
just the final thing, Cece, were you referring to the French movie Breathless? Because that's a guy that kills a police officer and he's on the run, and it's a film noir, and I think that one kind of redefined things.
I can't think of the name now. It wasn't
all right.
that
Never
one.
mind. We wrapped it up. Let's move on.
Yeah, and I got flipped in my Psycho Citizen Kane thing, but I knew what I meant. Anyway, Tim Hayes has been a member for 30 months, which is almost 3 years. Thank you so much, Tim. A huge supporter of the channel. We appreciate that. And also Jeremy Winfield, who's been here for 10 months, damn near a year. Thank you for that. Waltman says the highlight from the docuseries was Drake Bell being the John Doe for the Brian Peck situation. Yeah, that was pretty much, I think a lot of people already kind of assume that, but you never know. I mean, that's about the only thing I think anybody learned out of that. Kind of like with the Corey Feldman thing, you didn't really learn anything out of that either, besides the Charlie Sheen thing, and it's still really pushing it. From what that documentary didn't help that case. Goddess of Whim sends in 2 and sent us a little Sheba dog dancing around, farting hearts. Thank you so much for that, Goddess of Whim. We appreciate the support tonight. Jay sends in $5, says, here's an interesting superhero team up. Batman and Spider-Man bring Spidey into Gotham and watch him react to villains and Batman's past. Clobby, Nick, have they ever teamed up in the past? I would imagine by now they would.
Batman, Spider-Man, yes.
Out of continuity stories.
Yeah, that was a
twice.
special.
Yeah, once
maybe
or twice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's been done in the 90s.
Pretty good.
Yeah, first one was kind of okay.
Yeah, I gotta imagine they would work together pretty good. They have a lot in common.
Yeah.
At the same time, while there was also
I mean, it's a pretty good. They're pretty good crossovers. I wouldn't say they're like anything to write home about, but they get the job done. They're serviceable.
Yeah, it was somewhere in the late 90s when they started finally doing more of those, and it's been a long time since I've read it. If there's at least 1 or 2, but yeah, they were okay. You could hunt those down. Yeah, you could definitely go look for those and find it, Jay.
Do it.
So there you go. Check them out. And with that, we're caught up on the super chat. So we're going to get to our main story now. I apologize. We had some great conversations leading up to here. I'm not going to deny that. So Marvel, is they shaking things up? They have laid off 15 staffers.
Oh.
We know that they've been
assistances.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that's kind of what we'll get into that here. I don't know if this is a major change for the studio itself or the film division or anything like that, but we do know that this is on top of all the reshoots that have been going on for the Captain America 4 movie, if you want to call it that, Captain Falcon movie, whatever you want to call it. The what's the family one? Thunderbolts.
Yeah, they're
is
making
that even
that right
shooting
now.
yet?
Oh,
yeah, I saw something on Instagram where Florence Pugh was walking around the set and eventually they showed one of the chairs. She was supposed to be pretending like she was giving big secrets away, like a jokey little video she did, and she was on the set of Thunderbolts. God help Thunderbolts fans. This is going to be nothing like the comic.
Oh, nothing.
No kidding.
And by the time that movie comes out, they'll be calling her Florence Pugh.
Yeah, she's the least of the problems.
She'll be as disappointing as her breasts. Yes.
That's kind of mean.
Boob shaming. What?
But we do know Swift is a big boob man. Like that's pretty obvious.
I am, but listen, my girlfriend and her friends were going way fiercer when they saw those.
Women
do that.
Women are savage. Women are savage.
Yeah, they're savage. Yeah. But that being said, let's get into, because this isn't even the bigger part of the story I want to talk about today. So Marvel laid off 15 staffers on Monday, including lower level production and development employees at Marvel Studios in Burbank, as well as employees in the Marvel Entertainment Division in New York. The layoffs were predicted by an overall reduction in Marvel's slate of film and TV titles for the challenges of the 2023 release led the company to Sorry, I missed that part. My bad. After the challenges of the 2023 releases led to the company to reassess the rapid increase in production to feed the launch of Disney Plus. So, real quick, Script Doctor, in layman's terms from Hollywood terms, can you tell us what that means?
That means that the Writers Guild of America's MBA is doing what I predicted it back in September. It's purging out those that don't contribute any value to the property. These 15 staffers in development are essentially writers and writer producers that are not good enough to have created financial growth within the terms that they were set out to do. In this case, Disney Plus shows. 15 staffers is about the size of 2 writers' rooms. So if they did Marvel Entertainment, if it's across Marvel Entertainment and Marvel Studios in Burbank, and the total is 15, that's 2 essentially writing committees, kind of like what the original Marvel committee was back when Pearl Matter was around, being kind of disbanded and probably going to be reconfigured in something smaller and more efficient with existing creatives at both departments, because Marvel Studios and Marvel Entertainment are 2 different entities under a larger Marvel entity. So yes, that is basically saying they've taken a look at what they have done, seen the results, and said, "Hey, we probably can function better without you."
Were there any? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, hopefully, within the 15, there's a few Rick and Morty flunkies because they hired too many of those.
Perhaps.
Were there any shows or movies that had been rumored to be canceled that might account for these layoffs? Like any?
Remember that was some rumors or news, or what was it? Was that actually confirmed news? Yeah, I think it was. That they had a bunch of, because didn't Bob Iger himself confirm that about?
Yeah, I thought there was some. I thought there were some things in pre-production that they decided not to go forward with. I don't remember what they were, what they were rumored to be.
There weren't any titles released, but the actors' strike led to some development deals collapsing.
Okay.
So they were hoping that when the writer's strike was resolved, they'd pick up where they were, but because the actors went on strike and their strike lasted another 6 weeks beyond the resolution of the writer's strike, it was to their benefit to just cancel those developments and start from scratch somewhere else.
Yeah, I thought it might just be production contracting because of all the recent failures that might. You think there's any more layoffs on the way? 15 seems like an awfully small number, but I don't know if that's
it's just a
or not.
start in the creative and development area. Having 15 on creative development team for Marvel is a little bit too much, because really you just want a tight creative team per project, not overall for the entirety of the franchise. You already have that with the core producers of Desposito, Feige, and such. They're the creative direction team of producers. They're the ones that say this is the projects that we want to do. They put out the OWAs within Marvel of, okay, we're going to do a Thunderbolts movie. Great. Who are we going to try and get to work on that? Do we have a short list of writers? Yes. Okay. Do we have a short list of directors? Sure. Let's go talk to them, see what they would pitch if they're interested. And then they move from there. When you have another set of 15 or 30 staffers who are just there to pitch ideas to the producers, who should also be pitching ideas anyways, it's just a lot of redundancy. And the fact that they've had that there since 2017, I think, is stupid. But I understand the reason why. It's like, well, we're doing Disney Plus. We need more content to fill Disney Plus. Sure, that would work if you didn't use the Netflix streaming model for your streaming service, but use the network television model for your streaming service. Because if you did that, it's like,
no,
they're not doing that at all. Tom and I have talked about how there's 2 paths they could go to. They could go traditional network, which basically make Disney Plus just like a regular channel, like ABC, CBS, and NBC. But instead, they've made it now a cable service provider, because they've now split up their Disney Plus service into genres that are each going to have their own price. But if you pay an umbrella package deal, you get all of them for a quote unquote slightly less than each of those individual a la carte genres. But it's essentially you're paying the same price for the same thing that Disney Plus is now, instead of just picking your Marvel or your Disney classics or your Star Wars genres that are probably going to be priced maybe a third of, or a little over a third of what all those 3 would be combined. So they're just bilking you, and that's the worst thing for you, because that's not the model that's going to save them.
Yeah, I was going to bring up. I saw an article the other day about them developing quote unquote channels, and I just said on Twitter, I said everything old is new again. You have a station with channels. It's like wow. But now they're just
Yeah.
giving it out. They're giving it out as a buffet more than anything else.
Yeah, they're trying to
It's
be
a price
Spectrum
buffet. A price buffet.
Yeah, they're trying to be Spectrum, Comcast, and AT&T, but on the digital side of things, it's like, no, that's not how it works. That's not to your benefit. That's actually going to make things worse. The only thing that opens up is like now you can have 2 cable service providers technically in your home as opposed to just 1. It's like at the same time, like it's really hard to get, Comcast and Spectrum to directly broadcast stuff to your home without it being a conflict because they use the same infrastructure to do that. Right. So that's why you can only pick one of the 2 or one of the options that are in your area.
Yeah, but
or if you only have the one option, that's all you're going to get. Right.
I really don't understand how it is that, this has been tried before and has not done well. And that's the direction that they're going. And they think that's the best idea. I mean, are they just don't have any other ideas, or are they just trying to, slice their own throats on this? It doesn't make any sense.
I think they're incompetent because when I'm looking over at
that's
what
true.
Peacock and NBC are doing, and also Warner Brothers and Max, they're basically using all the AVOD streaming services to as advertisement to their main one, but they're also collecting ad revenue on those AVOD streaming services like Tubi and the international stuff. That's the way to go. It's the first point of it's the best direction for them to do now to try and garner revenue. And it's basically saying, we're not going to split up our streaming service to channels and a la carte stuff. No, we're just going to they're doing the smartest thing, which is customers love only having to pay one bill for a multitude of services. They hate having to split across multiple. So what are they doing? They're saying, well, we're not going to break up Max and have it a multiple bill stuff. We're not going to break up Peacock and NBC and have it multiple bill stuff. Keep it one bill, one price. But if they want to still get our content, we will direct them to the free stuff because we still make ad revenue off of that. And that's the way to go. Paramount was also doing something silly as well. When they did Nickelodeon, like Tom was saying earlier, and they're trying to like do another channel on top of their CBS and then kind of pair that together. That did not work out well for them either. And the fact that they're still kind of doing that, but at the same time also consolidating Showtime and Paramount Plus into another new one in the next little bit, that's like a smarter move, but also a dumb one because they're not doing it with any of the other stuff. So it's all over the place.
Yeah, what I was saying was basically that, like, yes, you want CBS on Paramount Plus, but I don't need a fucking Ninja Turtle channel.
Right.
I don't need all these other channels. And I know why they're there. They're so their parents can just throw them on for their fucking kids and walk out of the goddamn room, right? Like that's what they're there for. There's babysitters. And I don't like that. That is stupid. And what they're doing is they're going to do that with Disney. I can see it right now. Like I joked with Script, but I won't be surprised if there's a fucking Hannah Montana channel. Like that shows nothing but Hannah Montana all day. That's what they'll be. And like Script saying, they'll just be collecting revenue throughout with the commercials and shit. But like, their smart move would have been just put ABC on there,
right?
And ESPN.
Imagine having to watch Hannah Montana for 24 hours.
Think of it this way.
My worst nightmare.
The network over the air model, that infrastructure is solid, and it has sustained Hollywood from the 50s all the way into the early 2010s until streaming got in here. The only thing streaming had to do was basically say, hey, you want your network TV? Here it is on digital at your demand. You can watch it live, or you can watch the stuff as it's been archived, after the next day, kind of like what Hulu is doing. And the fact that they didn't do that shows how incompetent that generation of executives and quote unquote business savvy people were, because even some of the old network executives that I've managed and privileged to meet over the years have all said the same thing. It's like, oh, streaming, internet, new medium, kind of like radio, kind of like how cable and satellite. Well, just use the same models that all those did. No. Well, they're freaking morons, And then Chado came in and started saying the same thing too. So he affirmed that information that I had learned. But what does Disney do? Disney always does the dumb thing. Because again, Disney is the least creative studio as it comes to entertainment and distribution out there. They're actually incredibly creative when it comes to animation methods and technology and the Imagineering stuff. But when it comes to, hey, how do we get this to users? Hey, what type of stories are we going to tell? They're lost. They're like, well, what's that book say? Okay, we'll do that book. Oh, what's that other company doing? Netflix. Okay, we'll do what they did. That's what you got there at Disney.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it just makes no sense. You're right, Script, because you had. It's funny that we keep going back. Yeah, it's funny that we keep going back to like the restaurant analogies, but it works so well with this because you're 100% right. For the better part of 50 plus years, actually closer to 60 plus years,
60, 70, yeah.
Yeah, roughly. The model worked, right? Theaters found a way to both live because they were scared shitless back when television came out. They're like, we're done.
Yep.
We're know who the fuck's gonna come to a theater now when they can just watch shit at home. Right? They had to change their ways. They adapted. Television has adapted to things over time too. They've competed back and forth. That competition was what got us to HD TV, kids. Believe it or not, there's a direct line from television competing with film, competing with television, getting us better entertainment / quality entertainment, right? And that goes along with the network, right? We've said this before. If you have a show that's, big, like Friends, for instance, guess what? The Friends get to ask for $1 million a piece per episode, and they'll get it because they're getting the money from what? Revenue on commercials. You're not making the kind of money where you can pay your fucking stars $1 million an episode on fucking streaming. It's just not there. And we know this coming from YouTube because they take a bunch of our money too. So we know what they kind of make per view and all that kind of shit. It's probably very similar.
Well, here's the other aspect too that you're kind of skipping over, but it's to your point. You're actually going to say, why didn't I think of that earlier? So Stephen Allen, when he did his Tonight Show, he helped save the theaters because what did he promote on his Tonight Show? Movies. And that's where the synchronicity came in.
Well, that was the thing with television is they needed shit to fill in the spots, so they showed old movies.
Well, it's not just showing all new movies. They were used as advertising
movie stars to help promote.
Promote movies that were coming out. Oh, you like this actor? Well, now you don't have to just read the newspaper to find out that it's coming out. We're going to actually have an interview with the actor or the director, and we're going to show you a clip of the movie, and we're going to get you excited to go to the movie theater again. And we're doing that because now we have access to your homes in a way that we haven't had before.
It's funny you're saying that because
to help save the theaters and vice versa.
I was going to get there, but I was going to get there in a different way. Because what I was going to say was, because you're right, and you just basically got me to my point at the same time. Because that's the way the streaming services should have been treated, right?
Yes.
Because at that time, you had like the movies. At first, they were all afraid, but then they realized, oh shit, we're making banks on these old movies that we used to just toss, right? Like that's why most of the early movies in Hollywood are fucking gone, kids. Because once they did their run in theaters, if they weren't a famous movie like a Casablanca or Gone with the Wind, they don't know where the fucking negative is because they probably burnt it or tossed it. They didn't need it again. As far as they were fucking concerned, they didn't think of this shit. Now they could sell this shit to television. And what happened then was the people who lost their jobs didn't really lose their jobs. It was the shorts people and the news people and the animated people and all these other people that were doing the little short stuff in before the movies and in between the movies that filled in the time periods. Because what they used to do is just a whole day of programs like television. And then when that went away, you would just go to see a movie in a theater in trailers. And that's why they were called trailers to begin with, because they would actually come after the feature in between when the feature would recycle itself again. And it would literally run on like a 5 to 6 to 7, 8 hour schedule, whatever they had in the theater, depending on the size of your town, probably. And so those little things went to television, right? So television used those plus the older movies, plus they started making their own movies. They weren't nearly on the level as Hollywood. All that stuff that was minimal and lower level stuff in the theaters was now being used on television. And those people made more money on that doing that than they ever did before. And that's the way streaming first started out. When you had Netflix and Hulu only and Amazon Prime asterisks, right? Because at that time there was more money to spread around. And when you had a hit, like a Stranger Things or something like that, then they could justify giving those cast and other people involved money and stuff like that. Now you can't do that when everything's on fucking streaming. Everything. Like there's nothing that's not on streaming now, and I have to get, like we've said it before,
Revenge of the Nerds.
Cable. Yeah, fuck cable. They went and destroyed everything they should have done when at that point, like certain prestigious things and lower level straight to video shit should have been what streaming was built on, and older television shows. It should have been the same thing that happened to movies when television came along is what should have happened with television to streaming. And that's what I was going to get to, Script. So in a weird way, we were kind of getting to the same point because at that point, then all those things now that they're making for streaming. This is the problem with Marvel. And this is where they have a fucking problem because we've made 10 fucking shows now that cost twice as much as their movies used to. Right?
We're learning shit.
And they're all shit.
They're running out the clock. They're just basically just burning cash. And I'll put it to you this way. Remember how popular TV Land was when it came out, and all it would do is show classic television?
Yeah, I remember
that was your foundation for streaming that they ended up circumventing when they started launching these other channels, because all it was is like, oh, I can actually, instead of just waiting to see what TV Land programs, I can actually program the day for me by going to the streaming service and seeing all the classic shows that I want to see. And you can binge them or watch them at your own leisure. Sure, you'll get commercial ads, but who the heck cares when it's like, oh, what was that episode of Beverly Hillbillies that I can't remember what? Well, now I can actually go find it as opposed to waiting for it to be programmed on over the air or cable via TV Land. Holy crap, that would have been so convenient for people. People would have been flocking to the streaming services. They said, oh, for $5 a month, I can watch all the shows I grew up with watching as a child, or the stuff that my parents watched that they would talk about that I didn't understand the reference to, and I could explore those. I could see all 20-odd seasons of Gunsmoke. Holy cow, that would be fantastic. They're doing that now through Tubi, but they should have done it on their main ones. And then the other part too is, hey, they debut a premium show. No additional cost, but 1 or 2 premium shows on those streaming services. And also they use that as an advertising model for their feature films, which will then eventually, after it goes through the normal window cycles of distribution across all the other areas, from regular domestic television, Blu-ray, DVD, third-party streaming services, before it comes back onto their own, which means that, listen, yes, you could watch it for free on Tubi or something of that nature, but eventually it'll come onto your Max subscription or on your Peacock subscription or your Paramount Plus subscription. But at least you'll be able to see it, and it's not going to basically make you go, yeah, I'll wait for streaming, because you'll be feeding into a pattern of behavior and relationship that the customer has with broadcast, but now on an at-demand level. For me, it just looks like the most obvious choice, but the fact that they didn't get it, God, just frustrates the hell out of me, because now by the time they do get it, it'll be 10 years since the launch of streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be really hard to get that audience that was so accustomed to regular broadcast into that model again.
Oh, yeah. I'm already noticing it myself, right? Like, because I never used to have a big problem with commercials so much. In fact, for me, it was like,
they led
either I enjoyed them, I got to see some trailers, or I'd go take a piss.
Yeah.
Whatever, like, to me, the only thing I hated about television most of all was either the quality or they would cut shit, right? But sometimes there's trade-offs, because even if they were cutting stuff on like the television version of a movie, they'd add scenes. So that sometimes would be a trade-off. But that's neither here nor there. That's whatever. Moving on to this, though, like looking forward to the future of Marvel, because I think that this is indicative of a bigger shakeup. And I think Klobby or somebody said it early on, basically, yeah, like they're canceling all these things. Or was it you, Scribe? Somebody said it. I'm sorry for taking and giving credit to somebody else.
Klobby and I are easy to mix up. It's fine.
No, I know somebody said it. I just can't remember who said it. It was that long ago now, because I'm old and I forget shit after about 10 minutes.
Ironheart.
That's my thing. Is I think that's already shot. So I think that's
shot in the bag, and I don't.
Yeah, I think that's still meaning to come out.
They want if they write it off. That's the problem.
Yeah, they have that.
I'm still waiting for Blade to be written off.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
I was gonna say, I thought they had not even. I thought they were filming, not filming. What's going on?
Okay, well, this is something I'm glad you brought up, because my big question for everybody is, how do you think Deadpool's going to do? And you'll see why I asked you this in a minute if you haven't been aware of this, because this is something that's been around now for a little bit. And not only that, they showed supposedly 10 minutes of both Cap 4 and Deadpool at CinemaCon. And I don't know if you have to sign some kind of NDA to when you see that shit. Nobody has said anything about it really, but there's been a few breakdowns that have leaked out, so I haven't had a chance to check into those yet, I guess. But I was just keyed into that earlier.
So yes, there's an NDA with regards to the details of the content, but a lot of the coverage has been talking about first there's specific stuff shot for CinemaCon only that they reported on, and then the details of the 10-minute footage they could only talk in abstract. And apparently, the stuff that was shot for CinemaCon specifically was quite funny and received quite well. And then the 10-minute stuff for Deadpool 3 was also like really well received. That they got, but unfortunately, we only get the fact that Hugh Jackman is swearing at the CinemaCon people in the promotion for it.
I was going to say, I think they said more about the cinema stuff that him and Kevin Feige were saying.
Anything else. Yeah. So take it away.
Well, speaking of promotion, that actually segues nicely into this. So a minor spoiler warning, spoiler ahead.
Go all
so
in.
If you're worried about it, sorry, but this is going to you're going to get inundated with this, because this is actually part of a campaign for Coca-Cola. And this has actually been out for a week now. And I can't believe more people haven't been talking about this. Because it really makes me wonder what the fuck they are doing with this movie. The tagline for this, and I heard something like this from somebody, was assemble the MCU. Well, here it says assemble the Marvel Universe. So that pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
And now look who's on there.
Blade.
Mm-hmm.
And not Captain America.
Daredevil,
So is
Falcon, Iron Man. Now remember all the rumors about
Captain Marvel up there. Yeah.
Black
What's
Panther.
Iron Man doing there?
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, what do they want from Iron Man? I don't get it.
Well, remember, we're doing time travel.
Wait, is that Elektra over?
It looks like Elektra. At the
It is. Elektra and Daredevil are in it. Yes, that I think we already knew too. Spoilers.
Oh, Elektra's relatively.
What is it? And
Black Panther. Look who is in it. As somebody. Yeah, we knew she was gonna fucking be in it.
Yeah.
And Loki.
With her
so you think this is?
I'm surprised they didn't throw Kamala Khan in there for extra measure, because
now again,
they will not let these two characters go.
I don't know if Scribe's going to ask this. I don't know for sure if this necessarily means they're going to be in the movie, but I would.
Right.
Why else would you?
Well, to remind people.
Tagline be assemble the Marvel universe and shit. Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming Elektra's going to show up at some point in the Daredevil Born Again series. Blade is a perennial Marvel character, and it's one they want to keep in the people's consciousness. So whether he's going to show up or not as a cameo. Of course, would you really want? The logic of wanting to debut the new Blade in a Deadpool movie seems ridiculous, but then this is Marvel, so what the hell do I know?
Is this Black Panther the woman or Black Panther?
Oh, who knows?
Like T'Challa.
I think it's the woman. Actually, I think it's the woman version.
I couldn't tell you, but
but
looks like it.
Remember all the rumors we've been hearing? I think Pro has been one of the ones that have been up front on a lot of that about Tony Stark coming back. How else do you think they could get him back in the universe without him coming from another alternate universe / timeline? Because that's what this is all about. Because even the director come out and said this isn't a direct sequel to the other films. This is kind of set in its own universe, which is kind of supported in the trailer because the Deadpool they pull out is from a different universe, remember?
I'm still waiting for them to bring in Tom Cruise to play Tony Stark in a cameo because he was one of the original guys thought of.
There is that
freaking
rumor.
I'm so glad we dodged that bullet because I was not going to be going to see that.
Because I have there's been another rumor that's already been confirmed. Now, this one I want people to actually plug their ears for if they don't want to hear this, but I know one of the big cameos in this movie. 3, 2, 1. Henry Cavill is going to be playing a version of Wolverine.
Oh my God. I heard that before.
I heard it too.
I heard that.
I'm tired of all these variants and versions. It's
Script got it right. Well, and I think that's going to be part of the story. Is I'm not even sure how much Hugh Jackman we're going to actually get in the movie. I'm starting to wonder now if that's kind of the whole plot of the movie is him trying to find Wolverine and you can't find the quote unquote right one. That's what I'm not kidding. I think that's going to be a big part of the plot.
Danny DeVito appears as Wolverine.
I'm Wolverine. Schnickety schnickety.
Actually, the only thing I want to see, and I don't know if it's possible, but I would
come out swinging my claws.
I would like to see Nicholas Hammond reprise his role as Spider-Man.
Yes. Oh man! Oh, that would be
there
great.
Was that kind of rumor about that?
That'd be great. Yeah, they fooled everybody.
I had him on my show once many years ago. He's a nice guy.
Nice. Isn't Jennifer Garner supposed to be in Deadpool and Wolverine?
I heard that. Yes, that she's supposed to be
that
Elektra. Yeah, she's supposed to make a cameo as Elektra.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Even Ben Affleck is going to be.
Well, I think they're supposed to be doing
Ben
stuff with the
Affleck
Fox
is
universe in this. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Now that movie's going to make bank. That movie's going to make bank just because it's so referential. Everybody loves Deadpool. Everybody wants to see Hugh Jackman again. It's going to make a ton of money.
We all know
and it's going to make fun of the MCU. That's the thing, though. It's going to. Well, no, I mean, if the rumors are true, the entire thing is going to be ingrained in it, a joke about the ridiculousness of multiverses. And I don't know that the multiverse concept survives this film. I don't think it'd be taken seriously by anybody. And not that Marvel won't stop doing it, but as much as they're going to send up the entire just ridiculousness of the multiple versions of this, that, and the other and everything, where do they go from here? It feels to me like a multiverse killer movie for as much fun as it's going to be.
Yeah. I had a question for Tom.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember us talking about it. Maybe it was talked about somewhere, but did you notice that in Daredevil, they recasted the original actress of Vanessa?
mean,
They tried
recast
to.
her?
Yeah,
They
they brought her
tried to.
back.
They brought her back, meaning
They got the
yeah,
original back. Didn't they?
yeah.
Oh, you mean for
Initially,
this one they
they
tried to recast her? Oh,
for,
whatever.
for
They
Born
were
Again.
get-
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, they're
so
going to get a different actress, but they got the original one who was also played Lara in Man of Steel. So they got her back. They also got Deborah and Wool, and they got
Mhm.
the guy for Foggy. They
got Foggy.
completely turned about face on what they were going
Yep.
to do prior.
Right,
Yeah.
but I mean, the only thing that surprises me, the fact that they knew they had a crappy show and they redid it and they went and finally got the real people that needed to be in this show. I understand that, but the originally they didn't want to use the actress for Vanessa because, in my opinion, they wanted a more diverse actress. In their opinion, so they
Yeah.
went for a lady who was somewhat Asian, and then suddenly the Asian lady was gone, and they actually brought the original actress back. And I'm surprised. I'm happy. I like the original actress, and I didn't want to see her recast. There was no reason to recast her. But I'm
True.
just wondering, how could they? Isn't this against all of their kind of DEI,
Well,
whatever
one
it
would
is that they
think.
do?
I seem to recall, and somebody can correct me. I seem to recall that the reason she wasn't cast originally was because when they were doing the first run of Born Again, pardon me, there was a scheduling conflict, and now that they reshot everything, I think her schedule opened up. That it could be as simple as that.
I remember her saying on Instagram that she was sad that she wasn't invited to the thing.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected.
I
know
vaguely
Deborah Ann
remember
Woll said
initially
that.
that she said something that she implied that it's not her decision unless it was some kind of fake out. I recall that it wasn't something that she wanted, but that's just what was decided. And then suddenly she's back, and
Okay.
nobody even mentioned that they fired the other lady.
Okay.
Like, what happened to that Asian lady? I mean, aren't they? It's not so diverse. They want it to be diverse. What happened? Not that I care. I'm saying it cynically, but I'm being.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, I hear you.
Well, I'll tell you
considering all their
exactly what-
nonsense, they just kind of fired her quietly.
Right. They're a bunch of rosters.
Right. But the nonsense is going away because guess what? If a writing team and the producers want to make bonus on residuals, they cannot compromise the integrity of the show if they feel that that's going to be the case. So if you say, "Hey, we're going to do a sequel to the Daredevil Netflix series, and we are going to recast a lot of the people that the fans love, that the core audience that will be coming back and be co-promoting this show to other people," oh, wow, that seems like they're going to feel really betrayed. Maybe we shouldn't do that because we want to get a residual bonus at Disney Plus because that's part of the new contract that was ratified when they started to pick up this rewrite of the series. So yeah, they're not going to do that. You are going to see legitimate discarding of traditional DEI stuff over the next year or so until the rest of Hollywood realizes, hey, if we want to do diverse stuff, we have to make it so good that people won't care about that quote unquote DEI stuff. But guess what? Since they've already got a nice, strong track record of it never being profitable, the odds of that actually continuing are very, very low.
Yeah,
Well,
DEI is
hopefully you're
doubling
right.
down a lot. I could go on a
yeah,
different
because
tangent
they're
about it, but
Going under another name called Bridge or something?
it's just funny you mentioned it. I just started a series on my channel looking at the whole Bridge thing. And short version, Bridge is not new DEI. It's just DEI repackaged. And in fact, it's just a DEI consultation service masking itself as a trade group. It's really hilarious listening to the founder talk about it.
Yeah, it's literally a bridge to nowhere.
Yeah, well, what's happening is, and just as again as an aside, what I'm seeing is you've got things like Bridge that again masks itself as a trade group collecting CDOs, chief diversity officers from multiple different companies into these little groups, and something else called board.org, BOARD.org, which has a DEI platform for CDOs to communicate under an NDA, sort of sharing secrets and strategies and everything. The DEI is under such a threat right now that they are quite literally circling the wagons to reinforce to themselves their own legitimacy and their own value against the onslaught of people finally taking a look and saying, wait a second, isn't this all at least legally questionable what you guys are doing? And so some companies are rebranding, some companies are dropping it entirely, some are doubling down, and it's going to be interesting in the next couple of years to see how that turns out for them.
By the way, I found the quote, and like the original actress said that she was sad to not take part in this show, but she wishes Vincent D'Onofrio luck because she's his biggest fan. That was her reaction when it turned out she wasn't going to be in it. That doesn't seem like a scheduling conflict. and it was
Okay.
Andrina Holt that was supposed to be there, and now she's gone, and the original actress is back.
Okay.
Yeah. Weird stuff. It's a mess. I mean, it's outrageous that they could film as much as they did and then realize, well, guys, I think this might suck. I mean, nice that they are changing it, but good God, I mean, how long did it take to realize they were making crap?
Well, here's the thing: just because they've rehired everybody else back, does that mean the show's any good?
I didn't even know.
No, but John Bernthal refused to do it at first because of what the script, and now he's doing it. At least he thinks it's okay.
He did the
I have
Netflix
faith.
version. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I have no faith in him. Don't misunderstand. They're using the title "Born Again," and this story has nothing to do with the comic Born Again. I'm just saying that they think they're on the right track now. I just wonder how you film as much as they did, and then go, this kind of sucks, guys. Maybe we ought to change everything. It just seems strange self-awareness for that group.
Well, and
Yeah.
Josh Hammond brings an interesting point up here, but I'm not so sure if it's true or not, because you look at these, you got the original taste side so far is Deadpool, Daredevil, which I would assume it would be the TV version, but then again, looking at it now, looks like the Ben Affleck costume.
Yep.
And that looks like Jennifer Garner behind him, so you guys might be right. Then we got Wolverine, Blade, and so does that mean they got
He didn't
Wesley
wear
back?
a bandana.
If Wesley Snipes is
Didn't wear a
back.
bandana.
The original taste is on the right, and then the zero sugar,
Yeah.
the stuff that makes Coke delicious is on the left.
Well, and that's the weird thing, though. You got Captain Marvel,
What?
Groot, who would be an original, Thor here, unless it's a different version of Thor. The Lady Black Panther, I'm pretty sure that is. Iron Man, and then Captain Falcon.
Black Falcon.
Which really, there's two
Unless it's
imposters, and there's Iron Man, unless this is insinuating
Unless
he's
it's
a different
Riri.
Iron Man. Or it could be,
like-
but that's
looks
not her
like Tony
costume.
Stark.
But yeah.
Well, yeah, but
What if
they don't know
Rhodey? Or is Rhodey dead now? I forget now.
Oh, we didn't
Rhodey-
think of
we-
that. But he's
Yeah.
already kind of established as War Machine, though.
Yeah,
He was
if,
a
But
scroll.
Yeah,
Rhodey
we
has
told
been
Billy
Iron
Batson
Man
to change
before.
that.
yeah, still, if there was a mantle to be
True.
passed, I mean,
Well, they
Rhodey
might
makes
turn
the most
around and
sense.
fucking do that. That would have made more sense in the first goddamn place. If you want to,
Yeah,
oh, now that
they
pisses me off. I never
That's how
even
they-
fucking thought of that before.
Oh,
Originally, the first guy other than Tony Stark, the first person, I should say, to beat Iron Man other than Tony Stark was Rhodey in the 80s. So
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? That
He
would
was
have been a
part of the
perfect
Secret
ending
War.
to. Sorry, script. I was just gonna say the perfect ending to Endgame would have been after the funeral. You just have a scene with Rhodey. He's just kind of looking over Tony's stuff, thinking, because he's his best
Well, yeah.
friend. And then all of a sudden, one of the machines comes out and it says, it's like a little thing pops up from Tony saying, "You're ready." And he gives him the actual Iron Man suit. I think fans would have been more accepting of War Machine becoming
Agreed.
Iron Man, since they're very similar, as opposed to taking Falcon, who already had his own identity and powers, or whatever you want to call it. Not necessarily powers. He's got the flight thing, all that kind of shit. Now they're just combining that with Captain America, but he doesn't have Captain America's powers. Or did they
Yeah.
actually give him
No,
he's
something
still
else?
a
I
human.
didn't watch the fucking show. So
No power.
Yeah,
I
they
watched
went-
the show. It was
yeah.
shit.
Yeah, it was
shit.
garbage. There was a couple of good lines in there, but yeah, no, they made a
Terrible.
big thing about how Rhodey. I'm
Sam.
suddenly blanking. Sam, pardon me. Yeah, Sam did not have the super soldier serum, whereas the
Steve did.
which
well,
why not
he
hand
did-
it up?
sorry,
I'm
U.S. agent was given the super soldiers, or a variant thereof.
Yeah,
Which would
well,
be isn't that
John
Bucky?
Walker.
That's Kirk Douglas's son.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry,
Wyatt
Kirk
Russell.
Douglas.
Wyatt
That's-
Russell.
No,
okay.
Kurt Russell's son. Kurt Russell's. Kurt
Yeah,
Douglas's son.
Wyatt Russell.
He's
Well, at
John
that time-
Walker. Yeah.
It would have made more sense to give it to everybody said Bucky, because not only that, the Winter Soldier is
Yes.
known as a villain, so then you give him the
Right.
redemption of becoming a hero again. Plus,
Right.
he's actually got the superpowers. Plus, then he's also got a bitchin' arm to throw that fucking shield with too. Like, what the
Yeah.
hell are you thinking? The kids, I can see 20 toys with that. Like,
Well,
what
that-
the
It
fuck
happened
are
in
you
the comics.
doing?
It happened,
It happened in the
too.
comics. Both
I
of
want
them.
that toy now.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Both of
fucking
them were-
loved Bucky.
yeah.
I thought Bucky was a great. Like, I hated Bucky as a kid. Clobby. I don't know how you felt about this, Nick, too, as the comic guys here.
Yeah,
But I never liked Bucky. I thought
loved
he was a
him.
rip-off Robin kind of character. I don't know if he was first or not, but
It was close, but Robin was first.
that's what I thought. So I always kind of thought he probably was that. And then, but the version they have with Winter Soldier in that movie totally made me change my view of Bucky and the way they had him
Yeah.
in the first movie. Because like the first two, well, actually all three of the Captain America movies are probably my next favorite movies after the Guardians films, as far as the
Well, I love
MCU
the
goes.
Cap. I love the Cap movies.
I do too, but I think I'm going to add insult to injury here, unintentionally, of course. But I do truly believe originally Bucky was going to become Cap. And the reason why I say this, I'm sure some of you might even know where I'm alluding to with this. When Sebastian Stan originally signed on for the role, he was signed on for a lot of movies. I mean, a lot of movies. It seemed like they were originally banking. My theory from that is they were originally banking on having him become Captain America after Chris Evans, because Chris Evans was originally only 5 or 6. Obviously extended it for 2 more, but I think they had Sebastian like 9 or 10. I think they're originally going to stick him around to become Cap until then the identity politics and all that stuff kicked in. And they're like, oh, well, now that that's happened, it's like, oh, great. Well, we got this actor who's still left with all these movies to fulfill a contract. What do we do with them? Oh, I don't know. Anyone?
They neutered him in the Falcon Winter Soldier movie. They completely neutered Bucky. It was just like, it was sad. It was just sad. What a waste.
Yeah. I think that's what happened. I think he originally was supposed to be, and then all of a sudden they changed their plans, and now he's just kind of left hanging around.
In that show, the cringiest part that it's so cringe for those who haven't watched that Falcon and Winter Soldier. There's a part that Bucky walks up to Sam and says, "I never knew what it felt like to be black."
Oh God, that's right. I blocked that from my memory. Oh,
that
so
actually
bad.
happens. That actually happens inside that show, and I just thought to myself, "This is such an awful show. This is the last thing that needs to be said by these characters on the MCU." I'm not saying that these things can't be said in a drama about that subject matter, but in this thing, it felt so forced and cringy.
Yep.
I think of that and I cringe just thinking of that scene.
Yeah.
And he apologizes. He said he's sorry. He's sorry that he didn't know what it meant or something like that. And I'm like, oh.
Well, the other thing that didn't make any sense about this, sorry to go nerd for a second here, but there was the Howling Commandos of the MCU were a multiracial group to begin with. So for Bucky to act like he wasn't interacting with people of other races throughout his entire personal history before he became a villain, and I never thought of those things before. Like, really in the era you grew up in with the people that you were fighting a war with, none of that ever occurred to you? Like, come on.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, Marvel's terrible.
No, they're off.
It's so sad for me to say that. It's so sad for me to say that.
You know what's kind of fun? I hope this is fun because then maybe it'll at least be nice. One last nice more tip off to both the MCU and the Foxman universe and shit like that. But
and epilogues.
One more anecdote, if we're already talking about this, because Daredevil, not only did the Cedrina Holt actress remove initially when she got the role, she posted on Instagram that she got the role and it's so great. So she deleted that post because obviously she no longer has that role.
Yeah.
But also her name, I think Nikki James, who plays a district attorney, she was also supposed to be in this show, and she did the same celebratory Instagram post. And we even saw pictures on the set with her, and her post has been removed. And I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's like reverse diversity. If you, not that that's what I wished for, but it's these two actresses being removed is really kind of strange.
Why?
I don't know, because Disney they don't do that. They like doing the opposite.
True.
Well, I mean, given the redo of the production, I'm not surprised there's a bunch of casting changes. My only curiosity remains: is it going to be any good? You can populate a show with a whole bunch of great actors, bring back everybody who represented the characters in the Netflix series, but I feel as though something is still rotten in the state of Hell's Kitchen. And, and honestly, Clobby mentioned this. Yeah, Clobby mentioned this, and I don't necessarily take it as a good sign. John Bernthal, for as great an actor as he is, he signed on to a version of The Punisher in Netflix that is, in my opinion, low rate. And so when he was like, "I'm not going to do this unless it gets the character right," and everything else, like, well, I appreciate the sentiment. I appreciate the sentiment, but your your taste for the character didn't seem to match too much with what you're willing to do in the Netflix series. So
I thought it was pretty good in that second season, but he's not really the Punisher so much. I mean,
no,
and I'm not a Punisher fan, so I guess it didn't bother me as much.
I didn't hate him. I didn't hate him.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty good.
Well, to address,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, to address that, and also to address the price of reasons thing is the difference being as to why those are removed is Marvel for the first time got to see a bunch of footage before it was even released or before they even started their marketing campaign for it and realized it was bad and said, we got to put an end to this.
Yeah.
That's way different because the other part too is, it's already in production. They're already started the marketing. So everything is paired and things are lining up. This is the version we're going with. And by the time they get to the end of it, it's like, well, this is the best we've got, so we got to put it out there. And, Marvel fans will like it. They care more about the brand and the content of the quality, which is always the foolhardily nature of any person that owns any company or brand. And they let the tea leaves fall where they may. At this point here, they had the best advantage. They actually did something that they technically haven't done before. They saw technically dailies, and they were like, this is terrible. We're going in the wrong direction. There's no way people are going to like this. Now, the question being is, will they do the same due diligence with the new version? I don't know.
What I'm most curious about is the fact that since they were gung-ho with all their other series prior to this, how bad is bad for Marvel? I would love to see something of that original run to see what they thought this is bad.
They filmed 9
that is
episodes.
amazing. Yeah.
They filmed half the series. 9 episodes were in the can.
Right.
That's a lot of crap. That's a lot of money also.
It's a waste. That's what I'm saying. Not like pre-production and someone to say, come on, guys, this looks like 9 freaking episodes, and they're like,
with rough edits completed for them to figure out.
That's amazing.
That's the Marvel way.
They needed 9.
So this thing they make
that Marvel way is terrible, and I don't even fully agree with the Marvel way of how they did comics back in the day.
Well, and I'm sure Klobby will back it up that it was basically Stan Lee being kind of lazy-ish.
The Marvel method. You don't want to get me started on Stan Lee. It won't be good for your channel.
I know that, but I'm saying, and I think you can agree with me on that part, is that the Marvel method was mainly just kind of a way of somebody just kind of saying, look, you do the work, and then I'll come up with something in between. Here's the idea, not have to actually fucking sit down and write it out and do the actual work.
We'll just put it to you like this. It was a classic example of the old saying, history is written by the winners. Leave it at that.
And I'm sure a lot of that stuff might have even been come up with by the artist himself, and he would just co-opt it. I
Jack Kirby
I love Stan Lee for the image, but I mean, I get where he, look, you'll learn this throughout history. Not every one of and I've learned to have this, not have a hero complex. And I learned that desperately several times over, especially with people like Kevin fucking Smith, who I thought would never betray me.
Yeah. That's the problem with Santa Claus. There are a lot of people that you start digging into anybody, whether it's Martin Scorsese or George Lucas and anybody I love, and I've just named a lot of people I love. There's still things about him that I would go, God damn. And I'm not a perfect person, and that's how I can live with it. You know that? Right? Like everybody makes mistakes, everybody does stupid shit. Some people make Phantom Menace.
Yeah. Listen, I still like Robert Mitchum because I have yet to learn anything bad about him, or at least about him that I think is horrible. So
and there's a few people like that, Robert Mitchum.
Very small amount, but they're there.
Keanu Reeves, Kurt Russell, right? There's just you're right. There's a few of those guys that I would say that they're going to fucking heaven.
John Ritter.
John Ritter
was a good dude.
Oh man, you're gonna make me fucking cry now.
I know you want to talk about like as far as I know, the purest actor of my generation, John Ritter. Like did that man ever have a scandal of any particular note? I don't know. I don't
never.
Think so.
And he even played a gay guy on TV.
Well, he played a fake gay guy.
I know. But he's still one of the first ones.
He liked the ladies.
God damn it.
He liked the ladies.
Oh,
would
yeah,
be
his
considered
wife was
non-PC today.
Fucking gorgeous. She still is, I think. Amy Asbeck. I mean, he's great. Especially, I love the Problem Child movies. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
I like that movie. I saw the first one. I liked it, actually.
I even like the second one. I don't give a shit. It's bad, but
I didn't see the second one. Isn't there a girl that joins him? It's a girl.
Yes,
in him.
but she's a pretty good little actress herself.
You know what? I did see it. I did see the second one, but I remember the first one being better than the second one.
In my child's mind, in my child's mind, for some reason, I always thought that the Problem Child and Beethoven were in the same movie together. That would have been that should have been a multiverse right there.
That's like the MCU of its day.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
The only one who can get Junior's number is Beethoven. Roll over Beethoven. Yeah. Yeah. No, I actually watched Beethoven for the first time in 20, 30 years. Oh, God,
Yeah.
at least.
the
Like,
kid friendly
couple weeks
Cujo.
ago. Yeah. You know, I forgot Harold Ramis was involved in that too.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie, but you're watching it now as an adult, you're like, oh my God. But
Just
Charles Grodin's great as an
Charles
actor,
Grodin.
though, at least. That's all that matters. But he's just, yeah, if it wasn't for him, I don't know if I could watch that movie ever again. No, but yeah. Anyway, I don't want to blow a vein. Future Boy sends in 5 and says, Marvel banking on C and D list Avengers is going to straight up fail. Guardians of the Galaxy was lightning in a bottle. They got lucky on a gamble. Yeah.
Very true.
Well, Iron Man was lightning in a bottle too.
In a way,
Yep.
you're right. But
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I would-
that was the first
but
one.
I will even tip my hat. And this
First
is why
lightning
people
bolt.
are like, they call me a James Gunn simp. Look, I don't really, I don't have anything like one way for him or the other. In fact, I think his jokes and all that shit he did were in very bad taste, whether he worked for fucking Troma or not. But that being said, he is obviously the key to what made Marvel work for so long. And I know some people are like, what do you mean? Well, if you go out and look, there's an interview where he flat out talks about when he came in to start working on Guardians of the Galaxy, he started asking around to find out what was going on with Thanos so he could know where things were leading in his, because Thanos plays a big deal in, and he's helped setting up the whole, because he knew they were supposedly going that direction with the Infinity Stones and stuff. He come to find out they had nothing planned, really. They knew that's kind of where they're fuzzy going. They didn't know what they were going to do. I think his quote was, and I'm paraphrasing basically, but like Kevin Feige, I asked him about Thanos and he's like, I don't know, it's just a cameo, do whatever you want. So like he low-key comes off like fucking J.J. Abrams in a weird way now that I think about it. So like you had, and then he said he went in 90 minutes, he went and drafted up the entire Infinity Saga. So he knew where his stories could go and were ending and all that shit. So like, he's the only one I'm going to give any kind of credit because he actually knew what he seemed like he knew what he was doing there. And you took the Guardians of the Galaxy, somebody I gave a shit about. Didn't know who they were from Tom, Dick, or Harry. Like I knew Rocket Raccoon. And that's about it, maybe, out of that group. I think I was aware of Star-Lord, and that's, random link, but I wouldn't even have known they were with the Guardians of the Galaxy if you asked me it before the movie came out. But it worked, and it worked on a level for a general audience. And that's a lot to say about somebody like him. And he's never made a bad movie yet. So that's all I can say. Until he does, I'm gonna give him a chance and see how it goes from there. But yeah, I think that lightning in a bottle in a way walked out the building.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Deadpool's gonna be able to recapture that. What do you guys think?
Well, Alan Horn made a big mistake, and now Warner Brothers is benefiting from it.
Yep. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, that's a big
Remains to be seen. Remains to be seen. But yeah,
to a degree. But I will say this: it's the first time Warner Brothers had potential in DC.
You're not wrong, because
very
Script, I
long
will
time.
say, he says a lot of shit, and that's the other problem I have with
He's not helping him.
James Gunn right now is he's not helping his own fucking. Yeah, you're right. He's not helping his own cases by making himself come off as a complete and utter fool or liar or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, but we'll see. It's a big we'll see. Anyway. Yeah, and then Mizu says Guardians had a better balance of comedy and schmaltz. You understand, right? And I know some people are worried about how he's going to handle Superman, but if you're that worried, check out some of his other films besides Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad, like Super and other stuff. Because when he gets serious, he can get serious.
I kind of like Slither. Thought it was kind of funny.
Slither, yeah. So I mean, I'm not going to say that I don't think Superman isn't going to be fun or colorful or have some humor in it, but I think it's going to be a lot better than Man of Steel, or at least in my opinion. But like, I think it'll also be more well received. But from there, I don't know. We'll have to see how much control, because he has at least come out and said, we're not going to start doing these movies until we're ready. So that's basically his way of saying we ain't greenlit shit yet, other than what's greenlit and going on right now, and that's Superman and Peacemaker season 2, basically. And
I hope it's a good movie.
And I think the Batman movie is supposed to be coming pretty soon. But yeah, because I don't remember now with the other one being moved. Now does the DC Films version of Batman come out now before the next Pattinson movie? If that still happens, script I can't remember now. Do you recall?
Don't know
Anybody?
because Andy Muschietti is still up in the air. Has been a final confirmation that he's going to be maintaining on that. The only confirmation we know is what you said: Superman, formerly Legacy, and Peacemaker season 2. The Creature Commandos will be debuting fairly soon in comparison.
That's almost coming out, really.
Andy Muschietti is
That's
never going to
animated,
direct
right?
another movie again.
Andy Muschietti is actually not really well revered in Hollywood right now, from what I've been hearing.
Right.
You know, they're all like really impressed that he's able to try and piece together something out of the Flash, and he's still got points for his It stuff, but he needs to make his own movie outside of those two again if he wants to kind of hold on to whatever temporary promise he was given for Batman Brave and the Bold.
He's like Patty Jenkins or something.
You know, I've been thinking about this, and I wonder now, because that's why I wanted to ask you that, or if anybody knew when the Batman was supposed to come out again, because I forgot. Let me see here.
Well, the
there was
Batman
something
out in
with this.
2026 or
Yeah. The movie though was set to initially come out in 2025. See, that's what I thought, but that's not going to happen. I think you're right. It's slated to begin in the fall of 24, so it's slated to come out already this fall.
Brave and the
I don't
Bold?
think it's going to make it. It's slated to start filming. Yeah.
Oh, filming?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, again, I'll put it to you
I
this way.
wouldn't count on that.
That's going to be up in the air, but Penguin debuts pretty soon.
Yeah.
That is going to be the decider.
Well, I was just wondering if the Brave and the Bold was going to come out first, because I say if the Brave and the Bold comes out, the chances of Batman 2 are happening are like slim to none.
Yeah, I would say, especially if Brave and the Bold kills it at the box office.
But if there's if I was reading into what James Gunn's saying, and like you were just saying, if that shit about Andy's true and they don't have a new director, or they're kind of waffling on Andy right now, that means that could get pushed back another couple years. And here's what I see happening in the meantime. They might let Matt Reeves finish off the Batman and the Batman 3 if he actually has one in him, but they might not let him do that. They might just let him do the Batman just because it's going to come out so far before the Brave and the Bold will. So I think they jumped so, hardcore into this at first, and this is where James Gunn is pulling back the reins a little bit, because, I mean, I don't know if they really stopped and think about how much they were undertaking here and shifting gears right away. And, I mean, you got to rebuild everything from scratch now. And he's just shooting Superman, so.
And James Gunn has already said we're not going to put a movie in production until we.
That was what I was referring to. So I'm starting to wonder now if they're just going to let Reeves finish off the Batman 2 and say to hell with it. Because I've never said it's not going to happen. I've just said a lot of it is supposed to depend on how well the Penguin does, and it sounds like you've heard similar things too. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have high doubts that it's not going to happen, because you don't delay a movie property like Batman. You just don't.
No. No, especially when you got another one supposedly in the wings, right?
Yeah. Like if it did as well as they claim it did, and I think there's some fairness to that, then you do not delay Batman.
And not only that,
for any
I think
reason.
the biggest point here that I think everybody kind of ignores or brushes off, at least as far as let's just say the Batman fans do this. And that is, in what world would anybody, whether it's James Gunn, Zaslav, even Matt Reeves, or Andy Muschietti for that matter, if he does end up directing it, why would any of those people want two competing Batman franchises on the big screen at the same fucking time? Especially when they're the same rating, basically. You're competing for the same fucking audience. You're confusing the general audience.
Yeah.
And that has never happened in the history of history. Have they ever had two competing franchises like that at the same time on screen?
Two live action? No.
And that's what I mean. Exactly. If you're doing something for kids,
Mask of the Phantasm and Batman Returns.
Exactly. I was just saying, like, if you're doing something for kids, that's totally different.
No, there's one situation where it happened in a franchise, but still it wasn't exactly the same situation. Sean Connery and Roger Moore the
True.
same year.
I was about to say
the-
James Bond. I was about
Right,
to say
never
true.
say never
That's
again,
true.
and
But that is-
Octopussy or whatever it was.
That is a strange circumstance, right? Like this is
Right.
not the. You're right. Like this is not the same kind of circumstance. Now, if you had a situation, we might see this happen in a few years from now when some of these characters go up into public domain in a way. You know, like we might see competing, quote
Well,
unquote, public domain versions of Batman and shit competing with them. But yeah,
Here's the thing with the public domain stuff, and I actually can follow my Twitter. I did a long thread on this.
I just saw this today. Yeah.
The stories are will become public domain, but certain visual aspects are only going to be public
Yeah.
domain to the last copyright. So the Superman costume that in Action Comics #1, that has technically been recopywritten for 2013. So you can't use that costume. Batman's costume in Detective Comics 16 was also reused in, I think, a Batman Year Zero comic around the same time. So you can't use that version either. You have to come up with your own outfit if you want to adapt those original public domain stories because they have been recopywritten. And I learned this today because I didn't know it, but Disney did a Mickey Mouse cartoon that features the exact model from Steamboat Willie, which means that model, that animated model, is protected under the copyright to the new Disney, to that new cartoon. However, if you still want to use clips or stills of Steamboat Willie, that is public domain, but you cannot animate your own Steamboat Willie cartoon with that model. You have to change the model in order to not be struck by copyright from the current copyright holding of the more recent Mickey Mouse cartoon. So the public domain is not going to work in the favor that you think it is, or that some other people that want to use it is. You could do a Batman story, but guess what? He cannot wear a Batman costume that looks like the one from his first debut or any variation that has been used since. So you got to go in a very different approach visually in order to get away with your own Batman in the public domain story.
Hey guys, I got to
Exactly, and
split. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, Scribe, go ahead. No problem. You
Me
got a
too, I
show
gotta
coming
get
up here.
going soon.
But no,
yeah.
I just to finish up that thought though, real quick. No, you're exactly right, and that's why I brought up, you know, the whole thing with, using the Steamboat Willie thing in their intro for Disney animation. I'm sure that was also something that complicated things too. But thank you so much for being here, Scribe. And I know Script, you got to leave here soon too. I don't know if you got to leave right away yet, but yeah, go ahead and plug yourselves. If not,
we're too far away. CC's in the middle, but we also
I know exactly. I mean, I've been wanting to for years
way.
now, but script just won't let me go. But anyway, so as I mentioned previously, if you're curious about the Bridge DEI rebranding, I've started a little live stream series talking about it, looking at the executives in charge and watching some film of them talking about either Bridge itself or their ideas on DEI. You can check that out on my channel. And then Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, I have my series called TED Excellence, where I take a look at TEDx talks with TEDx Bingo for fun and education. So that's that. And guys, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Nice talking to y'all, and I'll see you in the near future.
All right, Scribe, be good, man. Take care,
bye, guys.
And yeah, you can find me over on Twitter at ScriptDoctorPhD and my channel, youtube.com/ScriptDoctor, where every Saturdays I do the Scripts on Saturday show, reviewing a screenplay that is currently circulating around, looking for a home for production. And it's a fun little thing. We had CC and Price of Reason on as a guest co-host, and they were a great show. So go check those out. And this Saturday we've got another sort of comedy about Picasso, if memory serves. So we'll be discussing that and see where it's at. But until then, next time, guys, have a great night.
Bye, Script.
take care, buddy. And then we got, let's see, we got the Future Boy one. Thank you for that. And we got Gonzalo Bergali has become a new member. Battery shifted gears. I was going to say, I thought you probably already were. But let me see if I can bring up here what it says on my end. I can't bring it up for some reason, but thank you so much for that. I'm going to give you a video. I don't know what level you became. It doesn't say.
Minimum effort, Buffy.
Oh, was it minimum effort? Okay, well, there we go. That answers that question. And if Mikey's watching, which I don't think he is because he's been busy, but here you go. That's a maximum. Well, you know what? We're going to give you a maximum effort, puppy. Fuck it. I hit it already. And we're going to give you the minimum effort because that's the one that Mikey likes. There's a maximum. I accidentally hit that one.
Oh, I'm a fan of this one.
Yeah, everybody loves
so
it.
hard.
It's maximum effort. And then we got minimum effort over here. Just a contrast. There you go. Thank you for that, and we appreciate the support. And with that, we're gonna probably wrap up here soon, unless there was anything else anybody wanted to talk about, because that was the big topic I had for today. There was a couple minor things, but I think they can wait. It's getting late.
There
We
was
got
some casting thing
10
you wanted
minutes here
to,
before our show, so yeah.
there was some casting thing that you wanted to discuss. But
Oh, that's right. Shit, we didn't even get into that. That was the other main topic. You know what? We'll save that. Fuck.
okay.
We only talked about it for an hour before the
The
show.
script really wanted to talk about it, and so that's why I said we should be having this conversation on stream, guys. Sorry about that. That's half
There
my
it
fault or
goes.
most my fault. But yeah, so let's get out of here. We'll get into that in the next few podcasts here, because we got Deliverance to go talk about, and I think a few other people have other places to be as well. So, Clobby, anything you got coming up?
The usuals of that Wednesday night. I don't know if Loki's going to have the comic roundtable on Wednesday night, but if so, I should be there. 7 Central at 9 o'clock tomorrow night, Wednesday night, on my usual wild card Wednesday night. Thursdays with Raquel and Mark for the clubhouse, and Friday night with my buddy J-Man over there continuing on review of the Fantastic Four, the Kirby run, reviewing all 100 through 1 through 102, and the 6 annuals. Jack Kirby's running the FF, and then Saturday night Star Trek. Still reviewing all of Star Trek with Raquel. That is, we're on season 6 of Voyager now. So thanks for having me, buddy. Appreciate it.
Anytime. And we also got Nick. I think I'll scooch out of here anyway, so I'm gonna let you go next, buddy. What you got coming up besides? Obviously, we got the Deliverance here in a few minutes. Or did he already slip out? He's tending to a phone call. Okay, so in a few minutes, this will send you guys over there anyway. That's true. CC, go ahead and plug your wares.
Well, Friday night is karaoke night. We were off last week, got some sleep instead, but this Friday we will be back singing karaoke on Friday night with myself, Tom, Price of Reason, and a dragon.
We did take last week off, but yeah.
That's what I.
And then we have Price. What else you got coming up, Price?
At 10 p.m., I'm going to be on Diabolical Souls, where we're going to be doing a rewatch for Scavenger's Reign, Episode 6. And then at 11:45 p.m. on my live channel, Price of Reason Live, I'm going to be doing the usual Tuesday late night stream with Dread Roberts called The Night Owl. And I highly recommend it if people are around. I think it's a pretty good stream. And again, it's on my Price of Reason Live channel.
All right. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. And we have another new member, Dragon's Blade, at the mixed maximum effort puppy level. Well, we already played one of those videos. So luckily we have 2 maximum effort puppy videos. Look at that. We got Journey driving the boat. Wish I had that boat and that dog. And thank you, Dragon's Blade, for becoming a member. Appreciate that. And yes, indeed, I want to thank all the mods today, like Goddess of Whim, Mecha J, I saw in the chat. Who else was here? Looking for Blue. Blue. Well, looks like you two are the main two, besides people that were on the panel. Oh, Neil was here too. That's right. How you doing, Neil? So thank you guys for being here and helping us keep everybody in line. Not that everybody really had to be kept in line, but thank you so much. Give Tom the dog. Well, I don't think they would give me her. That's a very probably well-loved dog, I'd imagine. So on that note, let's get the hell out of here. What do you kids say?
Well,